Hi there, my name's Sloan, and you're on the Welcome In. If you're new here, or you just need a little bit of a refresher as to what's going on in our campaigns, you can find that information over on our fandom wiki. There you'll find info about our PCs, our NPCs, and write-ups of all of our past episodes. But if reading isn't really your thing, you can also find arcs of our campaigns summarized in neat little 10-minute videos over on our YouTube, where you can also catch all of our past broadcasts. Thanks so much for watching, and welcome in! Ding!
Keep your inner dice dragon. Just use the code, get 10% off your first order. Shop today. New adventurers will get some things like a sticker pack with 3 stickers, free downloadable PDF adventure, a free mystery dice set. It's so sick. Hold on to your skull, cause it might split. SkullSplitterDice.com. Hurry now, bring some new dice home. SkullSplitterDice.com. Hurry now, bring some new dice home.
And hear you.
Hello,
Hi, guys.
hello, everybody.
Hi, everybody.
Welcome in, welcome in. You're here for Ierth Engraved. That's not a thing I'm ever going to do again. It's good to have y'all. We're on session number 2, so if you're just joining us, this is a good time to get started, my friends. We're going to get into that campaign shortly here. Hello, wonderful folks. But before we do, we're going to do a couple of quick announcements, all right? Those announcements being, guys, this week's schedule. We have Cos Playground tomorrow, Sunday, July 24th. The phenomenal, fantastic, incomparable Captain Krail is GMing that, so stick around for that. A very cool cast, and there'll be lots of wonderful cosplay. Can't go better than cosplay and D&D content. Of course, we'll be back on Friday with the Rails. That is going to be July 29th, DM'd by none other than MrShickdance. Look at that
Hi.
right there. That's a DM right
That's
there,
me.
guys. Yeah, the one and only.
The only thing I
Closed
do.
captioning just called you Mr. Shickit, and that's pretty
That's
good.
about right.
Yeah. Oh. And then, of course, then Saturday following that, we'll have Ierth Engraved, Saturday, July 30th. That's this show with this cast and me. So be around for that too also, my friends. Of course, none of that could happen with our good friends over at Skull Splitter Dice.
Crack-a-doodle-doo.
Guys, Skull Splitter Dice. Not only do they sponsor our programming, but they also sponsor our monthly giveaway, which you can get in on during the break. Use !win in chat to get yourself entered when the giveaway opens. Followers get 1 entry, subscribers get 2. If you're going to subscribe to it beforehand, it's not retroactive. And then you can get entered to win a skull mug filled with approximately 100 of Skull Splitter's finest dice. We'll be drawing that at the end of the month. In the meantime, go check out their products. Skull Splitter is great. We love them very much. Sean, over to you.
Well, guys, our soap store is still on a bit of a hiatus, but that should be back up shortly. But our charity for this month still remains the link tree we've created to help sort of fight back against the Supreme Court's decision on Roe v. Wade. A bunch of fantastic charities. You can read through all of the different things they do. They cover different spectrums of fighting that decision. So make sure you're read up before you support any of them, but we definitely recommend you support all of them if you can. I think that'll be going to the end of the month, but we might push it depending on schedules and what happened. But yeah, very much appreciate your help on that.
Thanks, Sean. I appreciate it. Any other announcements?
Hey,
It's different.
be safe.
There it is.
It's different.
This season is be safe season.
Be
Safety
safe.
third.
B. Aggressive. Aggressive. Right, cheerleaders? Is that
We
what-
are crashing. We
B
are crashing.
movie.
Finally a
B
dream.
B movie.
You like jazz?
Zzz.
Enjoy
Right,
that.
guys. I think
So
if
no one
that's
told you
the
life was
case-
gonna be this way? I apologize. Keep going.
He fucks a woman, a human woman.
As he should. King.
Shall we play some Dungeons and Dragons? Or do
No,
we
I
need
like
to
this.
talk a little bit more
I
about
like this
B-movie?
B bit. Let's keep it going
You
for
wanna
the
just
next
do
I
round.
do
Yeah.
enjoy the
For
B
the
movie
rest-
though.
we can have
Gosh,
that.
get into that.
Last
B,
time
baby.
we.
It's this session, but every time someone says B movie, it's 1% faster.
Okay.
I love that video.
We rejoin our B movie, our heroes as they thunder. No, I'm kidding. I tried.
You're actually able to
Guys,
do it.
bear with me. This is a long one because a lot of shit happened last session. Our party covered a lot of ground. So here we go. We rejoin our heroes as they thunder across the vast wastelands of the Thousand Fronts aboard the Amity Rail Line, the first of its kind, pursued by mounted highwaymen. The day before, as the sun lifted in the sky, we had found ourselves in Chateau de Coyonnet. A tall, stoic Aasimar man had been steadily chopping logs in the early morning twilight. The town yet to spring to life as the sun began to rise. The figure, Siegfried, had paused as a young person approached him carrying a missive. A short exchange followed in which the courier identified the author of the missive as the mayor. Not far off in a small copse of trees, a dwarven figure had just begun to rise from a liquor-fueled slumber. Gendri had set about collecting his belongings when his eyes made contact with the figure cutting lumber. There was an awkward glance between the two that only ended when interrupted by a third party. Honey, a human with brown hair and eyes, wearily made their way out of the house and up to the figure chopping wood. The fatigue of their recent adventures still showing strong. The two began to discuss the missive, glancing at the strange dwarf as he shuffled past them, but paying him no mind. Shrugging, the two turned back to the home behind them, making their way inside and settling down for breakfast. Across the town, at the southern gates, Trystan, an elegant young drow dressed in deep blues, had stepped from his wagon. The journey had been long, but he had made his way to his destination. With the goal of joining the Amity Rail project in mind, he had set out into town towards Town Hall. Gendri had gone on the prowl looking for as much information as he could find before following his lead northwards. Stopping to chat with a busker he had met the night before, he had learned of an underground tavern below Hogan's Parlor that was an excellent source of both fine goods and information. A short walk later, Gendri found himself pursuing expensive cigars and eyeballing a legal drink. Not only did he come away with a few prizes, but also picked up a job from a sketchy-looking fellow going by the name of Bastille. For a hefty sum, our dwarven friend had found work protecting the northwards bound Amity line from the highwaymen who had been attacking it. Back in the lumberyard, Sig and Honey deliberated over both the missive from the mayor and the letter that had sent Sig to fetch Honey a few days ago. The latter was particularly disconcerting to them both, and included information that neither particularly appreciated being circulated. Settling on learning what the mayor had in store for them, they set out for the town hall. At that very location, Trystan stepped into the large open front hall and found himself facing the inner workings of the large clock tower. Adam, I love you. Taking a moment, he introduced himself to the attendant at the desk as a possible hire for the Amity Rail project, and was promised an audience with the chief engineer and mayor in short order. As he waited, two more individuals entered the hall, Honey and Sieg, came to learn more about the mayor's missive. They were bustled over to sit with Trystan. Introductions were made, and as they waited, Honey submitted a request to view the national records housed behind the front desk. Unfortunately, it was revealed that they were across the border without identification. The cleric, assuming they were a victim of the refugees, the clerk, assuming that they were a victim of the refugee crisis, offered to assist, but that only furthered Honey's concern, and they retreated to join their companions. Shortly thereafter, the mayor joined them and ushered them down to his office where a Norkai dwarven woman was waiting. Introductions were made and the conversation of the contract was broached. Tensions began to rise as the chief engineer dismissed the three outright, indicating they would be helpful in guarding the train and could prove any other capabilities they had then. Despite the tense conversation, a lump sum was agreed upon and the meeting time was set. Both parties, Gendri and the group of Trystan, Honey, and Sieg, found themselves with free time as the train was not to depart until that evening. Gendri set about acquiring wild game for the trip. The others took lunch at the lumberyard before paying a visit to the Cathedral of St. Culier and the temple host. Honey intended to inquire about Dara, the god of brands, whom had been mentioned in the letter to Sieg. As they learned of their god, Trystan noted a worshipper of the drow god Ader and took a moment to pay his respect. As the evening drew in, the four individuals moved towards the train yard, and after meeting with the conductor of the train, hopped aboard and prepared to depart. The evening was spent briefly getting to know one another and the strange machine upon which they rode. Things settled away. The group set to their watches. The night went by fairly and eventfully, but as dawn set in, the train began to slow. Terrain they were crossing meant far more curved and complex tracks, and the group became ever more weary of their pace and surroundings. Sure enough, nearing midday, their concerns were met. Gendri was the first to spot a plume of dust on the horizon that quickly manifested as riders on an intercept course with the train. The party sprung into action, taking up defensive positions as the riders drew near. Mounted figures, abreast horses equipped for the harsh terrain, came tearing towards the train. It is Fair Day, the 24th of Orlin, 2245 AG. And I need you all to roll me.
Initiative. Let's do
Here
this.
we go!
Okay.
Boy.
Adam, stop laughing at me.
Sorry, Alec went to put his glasses on and just stabbed his eye with the end of them, halfway through and I'm dying.
Oh.
Oh, that fucking sucks for me. Jesus Christ.
For me. That's terrible.
As you glance at these riders, just a reminder for you all. We are looking at 7 or 8. So let's just be specific. 7 riders. There is one figure, not particularly distinct from the others, annotated in the center of this group to the southward side of the map, who is giving commands based on hand gestures that you all have perceived from your positions. There are 2 kind of pacing alongside the train with rifles trained upon you, though they have yet to open fire in any way, shape, or form. The other 5 are approaching directly for the rear cars that you know to be carrying most of the supplies for the southern AR camp, Amity Rail camp, of which is your destination. This is all aligning with the behavior that you guys have kind of expected to begin with.
Sorry, you said
Yeah.
the one giving orders is upwards?
No, down here with the large
the
group,
number 2.
it's number 2.
Got it.
Number 2,
Sorry, I'm
okay.
sorry. I'm dumb as shit.
You're smart.
You asked a question. That's allowed. All right, my friends. Do I have anything in the 20 to 25 range? Okay. Do I have anything in the 20 to 15 range?
18.
Okay. Do I have anything in the 15 to 10 range?
13.
14. Okay, 13 and 14. Honey was the 14, correct?
Yeah.
And Trystan on the 13.
Yep.
Hey, Sig, what'd you get, my friend?
3. A natural 1 plus 2.
Wita.
I mean, get it out of the way early, you know?
Yeah.
My dice don't like me. They haven't liked me since session 0. I'm doing
Is that
my
our
best.
first one?
I think this is our first
Our first
natural one
natural
that I
one.
can't play.
No, I think I
Nice.
rolled the nat one.
Did you?
In session 0, maybe, but
Oh,
think
it must
last
have only
session
been in
one did.
session
I think it was
0.
in session
Yeah.
0.
Oh, yeah, that
I
looked
think,
really exhausting.
I think I have christened the campaigns first natural 1.
Hey! Congratulations!
Yeah, congrats me. Fuck off. Anyway.
Guys, as the combat order begins, the group of horses around this lead figure begin to close on you. They are using the horse movement block, which does give them the ability to, oh, this is going to be fun, move up alongside the train
Oh,
as you begin to see them close
sick
in.
ass.
Shit.
Poopy poopy.
Shit.
Now, it is going to take their full ability to get up or movement and
Action, they're like dashing.
action
essentially.
economy to get up there, just because you have to direct a horse you're riding to take specific action unless you have otherwise feats. But you do see as this kind of group closes in a little bit and then paces along the side, not actually coming in alongside the train to jump on it. As this group does approach, as they get closer, you see a number of them carrying black powder pistols, daggers, and short swords on their person. They're all wearing these long dusters. But beyond that, kind of the chaos and dust is keeping it from anything that stands out to you all. As they begin riding in towards you all, it is Gendry's turn. You,
Oh,
my friend,
shit.
are the first in the group.
Look at that. Okay, I can move this. Good. I will. I believe I was hiding.
Is that right? Did you have a stealth roll on that? Had I asked you for one? Yeah, 19 you had.
Doesn't fucking matter what it was. I'm gonna pop out.
Okay.
I am going to stand up on this if I can climb up there. I think that's just logs, right?
Yeah, that's just a stack of like very long, almost like telephone pole, like cut logs that have been stacked up and strapped down.
And he will sort of jump up there, not covertly,
Okay.
seeing these people approach. Bow drawn and pointed at probably one of the nearer ones.
Okay.
And he will shout, go home today! Train's protected! Live to try again tomorrow!
I love that so much. Okay. You see as these kind of cloaked figures and these tricorn hats glance up at you. They don't seem to back off necessarily, but all eyes begin to draw towards you, Gendry, as you call out. And as
That's
your
correct.
turn ends,
Yep.
you see this kind of lead figure spur his horse forward and kind of pull up alongside, positioning himself between his companions with the intent clearly of boarding the train as well. And he will, in response to you, call out, "We're here for our provisions. Pass them over and we'll happily leave you well alone."
I'd also like to hold my action in case
Oh.
one of them attempts
Sorry.
to shoot me.
Okay.
Or
Sorry, I jumped your turn. I didn't
no,
realize.
you're good. And I have a response to him, obviously. But I just want that to be noted that I'm holding my action in case they either shoot at me or anyone else on the train.
That's a
And
good
the
call.
Or
action
if
you
they
are
get on.
holding is a
He's
shot.
shooting them with a bow.
I fired.
Wonderful, wonderful.
Yes.
His arrow.
What did he say again? wants
He
to
essentially
take my stuff?
said, "We'll happily take our provisions and leave."
Must have been on another shipment. These aren't yours. And I will stand my ground, ready to kill.
Because I'm going to give you a quick response. A little bird told me otherwise. He'll call back at you, and he's
Ooh.
riding alongside, looking up, having this exchange with you now, Gendry, as you stand there, bow drawn.
Okay.
Beautiful. As the individual's turn ends, that will put us on Honey's turn. Honey, what you got?
Okay. Can I see them from here through that window?
You would for sure be able to see this group, and you can kind of get visibility of like the front of the group down here as well. Hi, Raiders. I will say you could certainly see them closing in, line of sight wise right now. The
That's
wall
kinda
of the
rough.
train. Yeah.
Could I hear that though?
Make a quick perception check. This is going to take no action from you, just because of this.
Yay.
Well, it's not a loud train, so it's going to be a lot easier, right? As established by me.
Another 14.
Another 14.
I like
You
this
can hear
14s.
Gendry like calling out, and there is somebody responding. You're getting pieces of it as well at this distance, so it's
Okay.
you've heard the primary details of that exchange for sure.
Okay. They will take their movement, move the 30 feet to here. Does this look like something I can like duck behind as like half cover potentially?
Absolutely, that is a large
Cool.
crate.
Perfect.
Probably about 2 feet by 2 feet. There's plenty to get behind there.
Getting there, that's their movement. I think they're going to shout, if you are living out here and you want these things, we can talk about getting supplies to you in the future, but it has to be a conversation. You're living out here, yeah? You need these things.
Okay. I will give them a response.
Okay.
You hear again from this hooded figure. We've already been given permission to take them. And that is what you get.
Not from me.
Yeah, I think I will hold, and my trigger will be Gendri shooting. I will hold Sacred Flame.
Sacred Flame? Okay. And I will let you
although
guys...
they don't know they're holding it, to just logically.
Oh,
they're like,
just
I'm
gonna
going
go
to
off.
do something.
Who knows? And I will let you guys pick targets on the trigger, okay? So that
Okay.
I'm not like trying to remember who did what. I fuck you over by moving something. So, okay, wonderful. Is there anything else you'd like to do with your turn?
I've got.
Oh, Sean
That
just
was all
froze
I
on
could
me.
move.
He was saying
What?
something.
He's back. You were
We
frozen
said-
for a second.
Oh, sorry. I didn't say it. I said I have mine picked out.
Oh,
for
okay.
a
Oh,
target.
perfect.
Got it.
Wonderful.
Perfect. I think I think they just. I really don't want to kill anybody today. That's their turn as they hold their action.
Okay, beautiful, beautiful. Trystan, you are up, my friend. You are a little bit further away, a lot further away,
I
and
hear
there is
all
a
of this,
large
right?
structure.
Just
So I'm
exactly
gonna have
what I
you make a perception check as well.
Oh, shit.
It only seems fair,
Okay.
but the DC is a lot higher. As the sound of just the machinery up here alone and the humming and thrumming of the ether engine is going to make
Humming and
this a
thrumming.
little more complicated. Humming and thrumming.
Perception. That's a 7.
Good man.
All you know is that the horses far back near the end of the train definitely closed. Other than that, there's 2 horses much closer that you're fairly certain are kind of pacing the engine.
So Tristan's like really quick, Josh. That thing in the middle there on the map. How high up
Good
is
shit,
that?
Alec.
Could you ping
Thanks, babe.
the...
Right next to where? Where is it? Where's my mouse? There it is. Oh shoot! I'm on the wrong tool. This thing. Right at the
so
engine.
that is about 5 feet tall.
Okay, cool. I can just see. I'm doing like the.
You're
wheel
looking
thing.
over it. There is a heat radiating from it.
Ow.
We don't have to put your face on it if you don't want to. Just in close proximity, you can like feel warmth coming from it. Tristan isn't like putting his hand. He's not a 4-year-old putting his hand on a stove.
No, I think
That was
would
more
just,
contextual for you than a trap.
No, I gotcha. I think he would just run around to the back so he has visual on at least these 2 horsemen people, and he heard Gendry say don't attack until they do. So I think
You heard him say they shoot first.
yeah, which
Those are the exact words. Take him how you
yeah.
will, but that's what he said.
That's how he interprets it, is don't attack until they do. And so Tristan very confidently puts his hands up and has an idea while he's looking at the horses. And I just have a quick question. Because you said that the horses are wearing like muzzles, and are they wearing blinders?
There are like essentially these kind of blinders that run along the sides a little bit. They're kind of, it's basically like these little wire extensions that grant them like some forward visibility and outward visibility. That there are these sections that cut off portions of peripheral, so the rider can kind of
Gotcha.
see the directions that are speculate the directions that the horses are able to see and put things in their blind spot.
Gotcha. Then I'd like to hold my action.
Okay.
To cast dancing lights in front of the blinders.
Oh, Jesus.
So there'd be 2 lights in front of each of them, so they have no direction that they can run. Essentially, they don't.
Okay, and what's the trigger for that held action?
If I hear gunfire,
Gunfire or like sounds of combat?
yeah, sounds of combat, like gunfire,
Okay,
sounds of
okay.
combat.
I'm holding you all to remembering your held actions because
Yeah.
that's beautiful and I love it. Okay, phenomenal, excellent. Anything else you'd like to do, Tristan?
No, he's just standing there with his vest on, just ready, like, they fire first. Like, he's just repeating that, like, they fire first. Right, they gotta fire first, and then I've got him. Like,
In this very tense moment. Perfect. All right, Sig, what have you got, my friend?
Can I roll to see if I also
And I-
heard
Yeah.
What were you gonna say?
Similar DC to these.
Come on.
Roll perception for me. You're perfect.
Oh.
Oh.
Where's my character sheet? Perception. 20 on that.
You heard all of that very clearly.
Okay.
Your position kind of near the back there, close to the door. Gendry's voice kind of echoing.
So I'll get 30 feet up. I'll go a little bit in front of Honey. Just look back. You good?
They're like fidgeting with a crossbow, and they're like, "I don't want to kill anybody."
We'll do our best not to. And he will. Can he see these individuals?
Down over here, they would be obscured by the barrels and logs currently that Gendry stands upon. You'd be able to see Gendry.
Okay, I can see Gendry.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be able to speak and then make a response or receive a response.
You can speak.
Okay. We don't want to kill you if we don't have to. Think about this. Think long and hard about the choices you're about to make. We will have to act in kind.
Beautiful.
And he is readying an action,
Okay.
launching a javelin if anybody makes their way up.
Okay, so held action if you see somebody hop on.
Yep.
Okay. All right. Beautiful, perfect, wonderful. Anything else you'd like to do?
That's
Steve?
my turn.
That's your turn. Okay. As we reach the top of the turn order, the group of individuals go first. You see as a few of the horses slow a little bit, their pace. And as they do, these two riders are going to make checks to attempt to jump on the far back cart.
Launch. I throw. I launch.
Well, that's against my orders.
Here we go. Go ahead and I'm going to make my dex rolls, but you guys can go ahead, and those of you who had held actions triggered jumping onto the cart, go ahead and make them. Oh, fuck. Okay. Let's double check this. And that is Alec and Sean. Button, was yours violence, or was it them boarding the train?
It was they're firing when Gendry fires.
When Gendry
so
fires,
it's
that's
whenever Gendry does.
And I'm not.
Gendry, you're going off, is that correct?
That is correct.
Then Button, go ahead. You'll need a dex from me, correct, for that Sacred Flame?
Yeah, Dex 14.
So I've got another one yet. Give me just a second here. Let's pass.
If I can flavor mine in a way,
Same.
I want to just hit the javelin directly in front of where they land. I don't want to hit them. I want to give them a terrifying second to think about their actions.
Okay.
If that's
I
possible.
will let you make an intimidation check.
Do you want me to
with
reroll?
advantage? So go ahead and roll intimidation with advantage. And what I will do is the dex checks to board have both succeeded. One of these is going to get disadvantaged, and I'm going to re-roll based on how well you do with it.
I got a natural 20.
Okay. They are... You know what? No, I'm going to
No,
call
hold
it...
on. I'm going to take a picture first before you say
With a
anything.
nat, you don't need to prove natty 20s to me. I
want
trust
to.
you. With a natty 20, what happens is one of these figures does leap, the other one goes to, and as you throw the javelin, it hits with a boom, and he actually kind of backs off and will hold on the horse right now. It's not that he's giving up, but you have definitely dissuaded him with that action.
If I can
from
get a
boarding.
sentence out,
Sure.
do not move any fucking closer.
Beautiful. Okay. He's on his horse currently. The second one, however, shots from Gendry and a Sacred Flame from Button. Button, my dex save against that was a 13.
That would fail, but I will go after Gendry because technically they were waiting for Gendry.
Perfect.
My shot is against number 2 in line right here,
Oh, so you're firing. Perfect. Okay.
and I'm trying to hit him in the shoulder. I'm fine to not do damage. I want to knock him off his horse.
That's a fucking really good call.
So you're kind of trying to do like a trick shot here, right?
I'm trying to get him to fall off the horse this way to fuck up both of them.
Oh, okay. I'm going to have you... So you're rolling to hit.
22.
I'm going to set a 22. Okay. That definitely hits the target. This is kind of like a Battle Master maneuvers here. What I would like you to do for me is roll your damage anyway.
Okay.
And then what I will have you do, based on damage,
Yeah. It's
is
10
roll
points.
a d8. 10 points of damage.
Yeah.
Okay, let me just double check this guy.
And again, non-lethal shot to the shoulder. I'm trying to
Okay.
kill these people.
Um,
But I am trying to get him under a horse, so it's probably, a little column A, column B.
the arrow hitting Gendry, it is non-lethal, but it is
Hell yeah.
an you can see pain shoot through this figure. Left untreated, this very quickly will become lethal. As he begins to rock back, what I want you to do is I want you to roll a d8 for me, okay? On a 1-2, it's going to fall to the left. On a 3-4 to the right. On a 4-5 to the top. And on a...
I rolled the
1, 2,
6.
3, 4. You rolled the 6. So on a
So-
6, he is tumbling forward in front of his own horse.
Hey,
Oh, I'm sorry. You're
Oh.
shooting, though. You were shooting, trying to shoot.
I'm
number
shooting.
2.
I don't think I can get him to go forward. Can I?
You're
either
shooting
way,
number 2
if he-
also, is that correct?
No. Sorry, I'm shooting this one.
Number 1.
And I'm
thank you.
hoping to affect this direction behind him.
This guy. Okay, so what's going to happen is the arrow hits, and the amount of pain, he actually tumbles forward, over in front of his horse,
Hell yeah. Get them all.
which is going to cause some stuff. I am going to, as he
Ominous.
tumbles forward, the horse goes straight over him, and you hear screaming and crunching as this figure is very much dead. The figure
luck.
on the horse
Not our
behind them is going to make a dexterity saving throw as his horse begins at this speed to become tangled with the other horse and the corpse of this figure who has just fallen over.
I guess he died.
I guess he... Did you look at that?
he's
Guess he
dead.
died.
That is a 21. This figure leaps from his horse and grabs the edge of the train, but he's not up on it. He's hanging from the edge as this horse careens into this one and goes crashing to the ground. All of these figures being taken out of commission.
Damn.
Ooh.
Damn.
fuck
Nicely
yeah.
fucking done.
Hey.
Hell
Can I
yeah.
ask, do I hear combat?
You are going to go
Being
ahead and hear
crushed.
combat. Yes.
Yeah, you hear a
Button-
domino of
Button, you
horses.
reconcile first with your Sacred Flame, though.
Yeah, so they're like they have this crossbow and it like kind of jams and they just shake it and they're like, why does this always happen to me? Why am I so bad at everything? And this this bolt of light and heat instead of an actual crossbow bolt flicks out, and as this guy grabs onto the edge, it hits one of his hands and he takes 4 points of damage.
Okay, so that's the
It's
first on this big guy as he takes
radiant.
4 radiant. Thank you. As you see, kind of Christ, and then like has to re-grab again immediately, and like he has to move his hand to the side because the metal where he was clasping now is searing hot with the radiant.
They look at their crossbow, they're like, don't think I have a magical crossbow. And that's the action.
Okay. As this continues, that's a perfect and excellent. Thank you. I love that. It's immaculate. Trystan, you are up, my friend. Or not up, but you have your held action
Yeah.
based on the sounds of combat.
So you see Trystan like standing there and he hears like the screaming and like thing, and he's kind of trying to look down the train as he hears that and goes, fuck it, and just points out like with one finger out at the horses and starts snapping and snaps 4 times as sparks of light appear right in front of the blinders, both sides, because
Okay.
it's 120 feet. So he's putting lights in front of both eyes on both horses.
Okay, let's take a look here. What I'm going to do is have the horses. Let me check their stat block.
Let me check that book.
They're going to make some... Oh my god.
Instead of real big fish, it's real soft hooves.
They're going to make some intelligence
very
saving
good.
throws here, which they're horses, so that's not great.
So they super
Genius.
high.
Are you fucking... Okay, well, one of them got a negative
Went to
1.
Oxford. Oh.
Because
No,
it's,
he
they rolled a
did.
3, and they have a -4. One of them got a natural 20, however.
One of them
Oh,
did
Yeah,
go
that
to
one
Oxford.
speaks
So-
common.
Yeah, it's a very...
Please
it's
don't
still
I
a-
wish to live and go home to my
it's
family.
still
Oh
a
my.
16 on a natty, but it is a crit success. You see,
Yeah.
my friend Trystan, this horse rears up and actually stops and kicks into the air, and the rider has to like focus on bringing the horse back under his control or their control. So you do see that they kind of drop back, not being able to pace with you. This figure is able to kind of control his mount against it, and the horse seems to kind of steady itself. And as your action refrains, he is actually going to begin to turn towards the train as he can hear the combat pursuing down where the majority of the group is, beginning to make an intercept course, but the lights keep him from making full closure back to the rest of his party. Okay?
He would also get away from the lights at that point. It was only like a one hit.
It's like a one-hit sort
Yeah.
of. Yeah. And though
Move
it would just be
now,
normal light after the initial flash, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like mechanically it's not a blinding thing. So.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, that's what I
Beautiful.
was saying. Like
But it was
they
very
don't
cool.
track. They don't
Oh,
track
well.
with them. Was what I was saying. Like
Got it. Gendry, you are up, my friend.
Oh shit! Again?
Yes, your reaction did all that.
It's again,
horrible
it's again.
damage.
Oh, oops. Sure. Yeah. Put away the crossbow, pull out the axes, and jump down. How far can I move? I'm a dwarf.
25.
25. So there's 20. Do I know he's hanging on there? No, I'm just gonna haul ass past him.
From your vantage point up on the wood logs, you would know that he's clinging to the side of the train. That, or he's fallen underneath it and been crushed. You didn't hear any sounds of that, so.
Oh, fuck. All right. I will use my action to dash to here. And I will put out a hand and say, "This goes how you choose it to go." And I'll just sort of reach down for him.
Interesting. I want you to make a persuasion check.
But I will have my axe in the other hand ready to strike.
Yeah, I want you to make a fucking persuasion check for me, my friend, okay? I'm not giving you
Okay.
advantage or disadvantage just because of the scenario. I want a straight persuasion here.
Sean really
Straight
said I can be good
persuasion.
cop and bad cop.
I'll be
be
both
both.
cops. 19.
Hey, Cab.
And 19. Okay.
A cab
Interesting.
still. Also.
Hey, Cap.
Perfect. Beautiful. I love that. All right. Anything else you'd like to do with your turn?
No.
Okay. And you were offering a hand, not going to like pull this person.
I am
right?
offering a hand, but there's very clearly the axe in the other one, just in case
Yeah,
he chooses wrong.
ready as a threat.
Yeah.
Judge the scale.
Okay, interesting. On a 19, you watch as he's hanging there. It is his turn now. And he kind of looks up at you. And now in this proximity, as you're looking straight down at him, hand reached down, you can see these almost autumnal colors across this figure's face. These ears sweep out and back in this long length. The ears themselves, kind of obscured by the bandana and out behind his head, they're about a foot in length, and they sweep out in this long kind of pointed taper.
He's a gnome.
His eyes radiate a sort of deep auburn color in stark contrast to the kind of lighter hues of their tone, and you can see these little pieces of what almost appear to be like foliage or slightly turning red moss that are peeking from behind the bandana and the tricorn cap. And as he looks up at you, he says, "You seem like a reasonable figure," and he will grab you by the wrist and pull himself up onto the platform here.
Okay.
With that, I am not going to yet end combat. He
That's
does
fine.
pull himself up, and he doesn't immediately go for weapons. As you look at him, there are 2 black powder pistols at his hip, and a sword as well.
Okay.
And he kind of releases your wrist,
Yeah.
or are you going to try and hold him in place? Okay. And takes like 1 step back from you. And that is where we're going to end his turn.
Okay.
Honey, you're up.
Right. Can I see any sense of his features?
At this distance, now that he's up on the train with a perception like Honey's, yeah, you see, you don't get quite the detail of like the deep auburn eyes, but you
Yeah.
can see this sort of the tone of this individual's hair and so on and so forth. It is
And the
very
voice?
different to what you're used to. Yeah.
God damn it. They're going to. Wait. I gotta. Okay.
Panic.
Sorry, I have to measure and panic. I think they peek their head out. If you were given permission we were not told, can you just explain what that means, please? It seemed like this is a robbery. And they will hold another sacred flame if this guy attacks.
Okay.
So, I mean, or rather... his turn... Yeah, if he attacks, they hold a sacred flame.
Okay. I would like you to make a persuasion check as well. And I will give you advantage from Sean's actions with Gendry. Okay?
Hey.
Okay.
Teamwork makes the
Okay.
dream work, baby.
Teamwork is the dream work.
You guys
that's
are
a
fucking
21.
killing it, by the way. 21. Okay.
Still one guy over there looting the shit.
I know there's a guy over there.
So you see this figure kind of glance up at you and nod. We're still in combat order. This is a very unique encounter, but it does seem to set in to give you validation because I can't give it to you immediately. There's kind of a moment and a rise. You see, as you know, when a bandana, when somebody's kind of smirk shifts the bandana slightly, you catch that. Anything else you'd like to do with your turn as I throw my dice across the room?
I think they're just holding that. And I don't really have anything that makes sense as a bonus action, and I feel like moving could be... Do I get the sense that moving forward could be seen as threatening? It feels like it would be, but...
You guys have done everything in your ability to show an attempt not to kill these people, so it's a little hit or miss, but it's not exactly that you guys have been super antagonistic, but there is one man very much dead, you're certain.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's fair. Okay.
So it's tense, if nothing else. I will not say that you guys have been antagonistic, but it's tense. Yeah.
That's fair. I moved there, maintaining some cover if I can. And they're
okay, yeah,
they're holding. They're not... I appreciate you. But yeah, they're just holding that action if violence occurs.
They will throw out. Is it a specific spell? Could you remind
yes,
me? I know you said it.
Sacred Flame.
Sacred Flame. Beautiful, wonderful. Okay. Okay. With that done, Trystan, you're up, my friend. You see as your lights go off and one of these horses rears up and kind of the rider loses control of the horse, and it is just out there kind of being fought against as the train continues onward, losing track with the group. The other horse seems to shake away from it and dart towards the train.
I think seeing the horse turn and dart, he goes, shit, and just takes off down the train.
I love that.
Can I ask a quick question? How slow are we moving at this moment?
You're going about full tilt on a horse. So let me check horse speeds really quick. I had this written down.
I have a classic Adam second episode dumb idea. That's why.
Oh, fucking God.
You're trying to eat one of these horses?
A riding horse is 60, Josh. I'm sure you have a lot of tabs
60
open.
feet. Thank you. I appreciate that. And they can go about, like at a full tilt traveling pace. I believe it's something like 30 miles an hour. So you're at about 30 miles an hour right now.
Okay. Because I didn't know how slow we were going because I was gonna possibly climb on top of the train, but
that is going to be dangerous.
Yeah,
sure.
I didn't
you
know
can
how
do it.
I could. I'm
It's
not
not
gonna.
impossible.
I'm not gonna, because
Okay,
we know what
okay.
happens in the second episode to Adam. I screw
You lick
myself.
stuff.
I lick stuff and I screw
the
myself. So
engine.
yeah, I'm gonna take just a double move and I'll run 60, which I believe is right there.
Okay, you kind of drag the door open and like are running down the middle of this immaculate train, hauling towards the end of the carriage. Now you can see out the side windows as you glance through here. This other one is making an intercept course towards the train itself. Now, as you glance over, okay,
Yeah, cool.
beautiful. Sig, you're up.
Can I can't perceive Tristan's approach, can
I? Make a perception check for me.
Okay.
He's not being quiet.
No, I'm not. He's fully
14?
going, shit.
A 14. With a 14, I will say you can hear him kind of running down the length of the train.
And would I be able to perceive the other horses kind of heading where Trystan is?
They are less heading towards Trystan and more slowing to drop back. So it's a matter of like changing speeds.
Okay. I think he is going to. I think Sig is going to look at Honey. You okay up here?
This is very tense, but I am okay.
Yeah, I'm gonna.
Are you okay?
Yeah.
Are you okay?
I'm what? Yeah, I'm fine. I'm fine. We can talk about that later. I'm gonna stay back here just in case Trystan needs support. I can try and keep my eye on you guys. And he's gonna kind of stay posted up where he is, holding his longsword. If anybody shoots at Trystan or tries to jump on the train, his action is the same sort of thrusting a javelin in front of them and trying to get them to fuck off.
To stop from boarding.
Yes.
I love that. That's a very. These are very cool uses of your combat abilities, guys.
So that's my turn. Actually, I will use the rest of my just to get up here.
Okay.
Right there. But that is
All right.
Sig.
As your turn ends, the bandits kick off. This one again slowing the pace of his mount to kind of drop back here. Still not boarding the train. This one also slowing. This one is going to remain perturbed by Sig. This one here is going to make a attempt to leap. So those of you who have triggers, I know Sig did based on boarding, please let me know.
Yeah, do you want me to do the intimidation check again, or?
Yeah, you make an intimidation check with advantage as you throw a javelin.
Paladin! I am a fucking paladin! Okay, intimidation check is... 21.
A
16
21.
plus 5.
Okay, that's going to make this advantage for sure. Disadvantage, excuse me. Okay, he doesn't make the jump. He lands hanging on the side of the train as he attempts to leap.
Shit.
Unable to make the actual board. With the disadvantage, the javelin, as he goes to jump again, hits a barrel there and kind of, and as he goes, he kind of and catches and is like hanging from the edge.
Sig is
of this
immediately
train.
like, shit, hold on, sorry, sorry. And he's gonna like kind of move forward to try and help when he can.
Okay, perfect. You would note as well, Stig, as they are doing this boarding action.
Yeah.
The horses seem to be kind of reined to run alongside the train.
Yeah.
Keeping up with their owner for now. Impressive training, but they could likely be dissuaded as well.
Okay.
This one here, Trystan. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, I assume that there's just no opportunity to respond other than what I just did.
Are you trying to speak, or do you have a specific bonus action?
Yeah,
What's your
just
intent?
speak, but...
You can say something.
Okay,
It's a free action to make like a quick exclamation.
He'll just... Please, we do not want anyone to die. Let's fucking just talk about this.
Perfect. Okay.
And that's it.
You will see as this figure up here continues to fight with his horse, also locked down. So 2 locked down by the actions of the party. This figure glances around. Gendry, you would notice this. The one that is already aboard the train will
When he's
glance
taking
around.
stuff off.
He is not yet taking stuff off. However, you watch him glance around as if looking for something. He steps forward towards these barrels, and there are multiple casks and chests, and you see him push a few aside and go for a specific chest, which he begins to pry open, lifting the lid off. It is going to be his action to pull the lid off and move the things and begin to pull up a bundle that is wrapped into his arms. But that is essentially all that he can accomplish.
Like the size of a person's body?
No, it is... Make a perception check
Okay.
for me.
The fuck?
I'm not there. I can't ask a question. The fuck?
Perception check, 10.
It's feed for my
A
horse.
10. It is... All you can make out with the chaos and this other figure standing directly in front of you is that it is probably something swaddled in like a brown cloth that's been folded over, maybe 2 to 3 feet in length and fairly wide. There's not an exact shape to it that's discernible with that.
Interesting.
Okay.
As this figure begins to kind of turn with the bundle in his hands, he steps back to the edge, but again, he's not going to be able to like do anything with it. It looks as almost if he's preparing to throw it down to one of the people on the horses below, but there's only one figure who is currently still dealing with being terrified by the javelin and failed attempt to jump onto the train.
Cool.
As that turn ends, Gendry, you are up.
Fucking awesome. I'm gonna see that whole shit going down. See this guy about to steal from us, and not being one to fail a job. I'm just gonna stay here, and I'm just gonna fucking abandon this guy, and go full tilt. Here, 50 feet.
As you do,
Is he gonna
he
attack
is
me?
going to attempt to grab you by the arm, almost as if to like catch you to speak. But it is going to be a grapple to stop you because you are very clearly moving to action.
Mm-hmm.
So he will go to make a grapple attack against you. So you can use acrobatics or athletics to get out of this.
Alrighty.
Now you want to talk? Interesting.
I thought he could get away with it.
Sean?
Is that a good one, buddy?
It's pretty good. What'd you get?
So I got
You're pretty good.
13.
Okay, I got a 24, a natural 20.
Yeah.
Okay, so you break away from it on a natural 20.
King shit.
I won't even acknowledge he attempted it, and I will haul ass to this person with the same axes out. So say,
Okay.
put it back.
All right. And you're not making an attack, you're just making...
I
statements,
have to
right?
dash to get there because of my short little wee legs.
Got it.
Other than that,
My wee little legs.
My wee little legs.
Sunshine?
All right.
These tiny feet.
I got those happy.
I
As
love
you
that Penguin
kind of dash by, this figure goes to grab you, and seeing it fail, he'll kind of go and reach down for the two pistols at his side, and he kind of pulls them out and points one towards Gendry and one towards Honey and says,
That
"We're
triggers
just-
my action.
Yeah,
You're
it
gonna
fucking
trigger
does.
that? Okay, my friend.
I'd like
fire
to
that.
aim for the pistol that he's aiming at Gendry.
Oh no!
I thought he was aiming
Oh, I
my
don't roll.
steak and
That's a
honey.
sacred flame, right?
Yeah, so he has to roll.
One at Gendry and one at Honey.
Okay.
Yes,
Well-
so the one that he's aiming at Gendry, they want to hit his hand.
Nice.
It's going to be a 17.
That's... Well, he fucking fine. It whizzes past his hand.
Okay, you see as it kind of clashes against the box behind him, and he says,
They're still using the crossbow as like
"A focus."
to aim it, yeah, as a focus, and they're like, "Don't shoot him."
I fucking adore that.
As he kind of draws the guns, you see as
Please.
he kind of, almost with a little bit of a cocky swagger, kind of steps into the center of the train, pistols drawn to either side of him, and says, "We're just here for the goods we were promised. All right, my friends, let us take those. And that's it. Be on our
My
merry
father
way."
taught me to identify a liar.
Okay, perfect, beautiful. That's his turn.
Get it,
He's not
cleric.
going to fire. He will, however, hold his actions. If Honey or Siegfried approaches this end of the train, he will fire. And if he'll... No, I'm not going to split like that because that'd be shitty. He will fire if Honey or Sig begin to move this direction.
Good to know.
He don't even know
Joe,
about what I'm
I guess we'll broach that on my turn. That makes sense.
Yeah.
He don't even
But
know
he
about what
also
I'm about.
does not attack you all. As this kind of weird little standoff continues. And with that, Honey, it is your turn, my friend.
Blast
Try to
his
get the
ass.
gun out of his hand again. Can you give me another deck save? They're just gonna keep trying until it works. They're like, Okay,
That'll
one
be
more
a
time.
16.
no, they're just either side of his hand. They're like, I'm going to do it that way. That was a warning shot.
Just countless warning shots. And you see him go, Jesus, fucking stop!
Honey shooting a fucking bazooka. Like, oh shit!
They start hitting me.
There's a little fucking flaming
I don't have the
bolts
range to hit you.
impacted, two of them like impacted in the
Grenade
chest
launcher.
behind him.
Mhm.
Well, the idea of Gendry just being like, can you fucking knock it off?
I'm like dodging your shots. I'm trying to get this back.
Nothing.
It's
Sorry.
They're helping
grenade
you.
launcher, It's just a thunk.
Anyway, anything else you'd like to do with your turn?
Train's on fire. How about yours?
That's the way
My
I like
train's
it.
on fire.
Well, you. Fuck, they're not gonna. Okay. Ah, da 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 da. Can they say in Falanaki? You are making a grave mistake in not just talking to us.
In Falanaki?
I heard you.
Yeah. The accent that you are hearing is not
Accent is not?
Falanaki.
Mine's falling out.
Would I identify it as Sylvan?
It certainly does very much sound Sylvan or Elven in root for sure.
Sylvish?
They would say it in Sylvan and Hope. Whatever accent, I'm bad at identifying the accent, but I can speak both of those languages. So if I can,
It's a tap and a burn into you kind of accent, which is very Sylvanish to you.
Understood. You are making a grave mistake. Just
Beautiful.
and not just speaking to us.
Perfect. Okay. That's your turn, honey?
That's it.
Trystan, you're up.
Trystan, still mad dashing, runs to here using his double move to get to there.
Bursts through the door.
Still not
Sig is just
slowing
like,
down. It doesn't seem like he is about to slow down. He's still in full sprint, and he has one eye on this guy, the guy that he disrupted a while ago, because he's worried that he's gonna get his shit together and just start shooting.
Okay.
So he's doing like the panic run where you're like running and looking to the side and like running and looking back, throws the door open and is like mid next step.
With two gun barrels.
I don't know if I could see that guy, but he's about to run into him.
I might give you some, if I
He's on
notice, I might
Overwatch.
give you some clarity on my turn.
All right.
that's it.
Anything else, Trystan? All right.
That's it.
Sig, that means you're up.
Am I aware of the standoff that is happening?
He's definitely got weapons trained on the two of you. It's kind of one of those like back and forth things. The other gun is pointed at Gendry, but his vision is looking at you guys.
Okay. Fucking, he's gonna look at Trystan. Be careful, there are guns trained on Gendry and Honey. Be careful. Move slowly. You understand me?
Yeah, I'm good.
They might not be. And he's gonna try and help the guy up.
Which guy?
There was the guy that was holding on.
He's on the
He
car
is-
with me.
Oh, he's on the
Way
car. I understand.
here.
I'm sorry.
He's
I
dragging his throne.
misunderstood.
Sorry. No, you're good, my friend.
Okay. Shit. I did a smort. I am going to. Shit. Whoops. I am going to. Shit. If I get over here with my movement, am I going to be able to see that guy at all or no?
Which guy?
The guy that's got guns trained on Honey and Gendry. Would I have a line of sight?
I will say the action that I held was if you or Honey approach.
Do I have line of sight on him right now?
Hell yeah, that's what I like to hear.
On the figure, yeah, you have line of sight on him.
Great, I launch a fucking javelin at him.
All right, throw, my friend, throw!
Dude, put that javelin through that
Non-lethal
barrel.
in the shoulder to try and push him off course.
Ah, damn it.
Beautiful. And you are talking about the figure with
Kill
the
this
guns,
guy.
With
Oh,
the guns, yeah.
Perfect. The like lead Eladrin figure.
Okay. This is the guy with the guns that's trained on them.
Roll to hit, you beautiful beast.
Okay. That is a... To hit with my javelin is a 17.
A 17 will absolutely hit.
He's just gonna try and, like, throw it and skim him on the shoulder across the chest to try and just knock him down and have his guns trained on the floor, if he can.
Gotcha. So I am going to say these called shots are awesome. However, these aren't mechanics of your abilities.
Yeah.
So I'm going to put, I wanted to play into it because it's awesome. I am going to put a stop on them now because they're mechanical elements of other classes. But you can absolutely roll to hit him with a javelin.
Yeah.
I apologize for being a pill. I just don't want to
No, you're fine.
too spammed at me.
And you want me to roll damage for it? Because I will.
Yes, please. You absolutely hit.
That's a d6. It'll take 7.
7 points of
7
damage.
points of
As this
damage.
javelin kind of shears his shoulder, and you see the coat kind of tears across the top, and blood is drawn. It takes 7.
He'll just say, "Fucking drop it now!"
Okay. Perfect. Anything else you'd like to do with your turn?
Nah.
All right, I love you guys. Perfect. The bandit's turn. This figure again begins to drop back, pacing here. This figure is going to attempt to climb up. Oh, thank fuck. Okay. He does kind of get up on top of this barrel, but that is going to be his basically full action to do so. This figure is going to attempt to control his horse and fucking fail. He's still locked up and like falling wicked far behind at this point. As the train continues and momentum works that way. The two figures here, this one is also going to... Nope, absolutely not. This one did not have effect, so this one is actually... Sorry, guys, I know I've got a lot going on here. This one begins to fall back as well, still fighting that kind of fear. This one is going to pull up. He's one of the ones that didn't get impacted by any sort of attempt to dissuade. Alongside Gendri, you watch as this figure with the bundle in his arms is going to go and attempt to pass it down. As he does, I'll make a sleight of hand check. As he gets to the edge of the train, the wind catches this sheet that is wrapped around it and kind of whips it back and up. And so it's only folded onto the underside. And you see black powder rifles bundled in his arms, a weapons shipment.
Mm-hmm.
And he is unable with the kind of fighting to push this thing back down to get it so it's not chaos and it doesn't go tumbling away, to drop it off of the vehicle. As you see that kind of occur, that is their turn.
Okay.
With that, Gendri, you're up.
What's around me?
You have barrels to your right, a few more barrels and crates to your left. Behind you is the car crossing to the next kind of supply train. Directly in front of you is the bandit in the duster. Just next to him, but up on a barrel about 3 feet, is standing a second one of these figures. And then beyond is kind of this pathway that meanders down towards the end of the train. There's also, beyond the figure kind of carrying the weapons, there are 3 horses and 1 figure abreast a horse ready to attempt to catch this weapon bundle, but it has not been dropped yet.
I would like to say something, gauge a response, even though he probably can't respond, and then act, if that's okay.
I love that. Okay, what you got?
Put down the weapons, go home with your friends still alive, or stay and you'll all die.
Okay. I want you to, with that, make an insight check as this figure turns to look at you. Whoop.
Cool. An 8.
An 8. This figure turns to look at you. And I will say, even with an 8, you have seen the look of figures who have seen the ravages of conflict before, many times before. It's a familiar face.
These are children.
No, they are young, but they have seen conflict.
Oh.
There's a determination there.
Fair enough. And I'm going to push the crates to my left in front of the horses that are trying to get up aside the cart.
Okay, I want you to make an athletics check to push them.
Sure.
There's like a bar, so you're going to have to kind of try and shove it over.
Yeah. Athletics. Oh, fuck yeah. Dirty 20. With the plus
A dirty
3.
20, okay. This crate kind of gets pushed and tumbles over and hits the ground, and all 3 of these figures here are going to have to navigate that. The first two are just the horses. 15, horse. What's the dex on a horse? Give me it. +0. Okay, that's a straight 15. It kind of veers away out over here. This second one will maintain where it's at. This third one with the rider. Well, it doesn't take them off, but it's low enough that it does kind of get in the way, and the rider has to pull the horse away as this wood shatters, leaving this figure without anybody to pass these weapons down to.
Hell yeah. So that was my action.
To tip that over like that, yes.
Okay. Sure. I will try and run past this person and board this horse.
Oh! I will say leaping like that from there to the horse, I would consider an action to do. You can prepare yourself.
And do nothing.
As you deflect. Okay, is that your turn?
Yep.
All right. This figure, as Honey is firing at them and javelins are being thrown, is going to begin to retreat in this direction. Out here. I am going to have him kind of run up next to you and well, that crate would be gone now. He will call to the others and say, "Give it up, lads! Not worth it with these lot." And then he is going to use his face step to poof out to this horse. That will be his turn, Honey.
Shit. Okay. They run here. And then they, knowing that we have people we can question and wanting them to not get away, they reach out a hand, not even knowing what they're doing, but they know that they want their horses to run away. Get them gone. And they cast Thaumaturgy to make the ground beneath the horses rumble so that they feel like there's an earthquake.
Okay, that's very good. Okay. And you are doing it to, what's the area of effect on Thaumaturgy? Isn't it just like one space?
It says, where is it? Harmless tremors in the ground for 1 minute.
Okay.
Manifest. I don't imagine it's a lot of space though, so I would say the ones closest to the riders who are still on the train. So like this guy.
Okay, so right here, you're going to try and spook kind of, and the others would be riding towards that as well. So I'm going to have all three of them, the horses, attempt to make checks against this. Oh my god, that's a critical failure on 1.
Yay!
You will see as this one spooks and this one spooks, again staggering back and beginning to veer away.
Okay. They just keep, they will maintain concentration on that because they have seen that guy can face step and they imagine the others can. And that's their turn because they don't have any bonuses. That makes sense.
Perfect. Beautiful. Wonderful. Okay. Trystan.
So Trystan, could he have seen the guy with the double pistols walk off and face step?
From where you are, let me see here really quick.
Because I know he was like...
You do have a fridge blocking your view, unfortunately.
I will say that you are fairly certain you definitely saw him go to the edge of the train. You wouldn't be able to see where he went currently.
That's fine. Trystan would climb onto this box right here.
Love it.
And look down the end of the train. He can he see this particular horse inclined?
Yeah, kind of leaning out, I would say, yeah. For sure.
Great. I need to just test something with distance. Damn it, because he moved. Well, that's fine. He doesn't know that this guy's leaving. Repeats the same trick, and puts dancing lights, right
Okay.
in front of number 2, his horse, and does it in front of the horse and his eyes.
Okay.
So like,
so he's
like, like
okay.
what, and like trying to do like the flash of like what.
The horse seems to kind of like fuzzle through it, but he pulls back on the reins himself, being kind of dazzled by this. And again, the creature pulls away in this direction, slowing and falling behind. And you can already see this group like is rapidly falling behind the train.
All right, well, and I think he would look over at Sig and be like, I messed up one of them. I don't know what's going on, but I got one of them.
Beautiful.
And that's it. That's all he would do.
What you would see now is the bandits' turn. These ones are beginning to fall back.
Isn't it Sig's turn?
Oh, it is. I'm so sorry. Wow, thank you. Sig, you're up.
You're good. I am going to look at Trystan and just nicely done. I'm gonna roll that way.
Go for it.
And he is going to use, unfortunately, his action to dash to get up kind of in line with Honey and just kind of yell to them as he's going past, I have your back, okay?
I have yours. We have questions for those guys. And they'll point at the 2 who are still on the train.
His grip lessens on his longsword. He's like, okay.
Beautiful.
That'll be his turn.
Okay. You watch as your turn ends. The bandits, distinctly, Honey, you would anticipate that these figures would, in fact, do the same. And they do not now. They seem to almost be glancing about, panicking slightly. This one right next to Gendri is almost kind of stuck where he is, unable to be freed from that position. This one begins to kind of move back down the train, but he's not looking for an off. He's looking to get nearer to the horses, which are getting further and further away from the train, almost like he does not have an out on the vehicle as it is. All of these guys are stumbling back, and this horse is kind of dazzled and out there. So they are sans without horses now, these 2 trapped on the train, without the goods they had come to acquire. And with that, Gendri, you're up. You witness exactly what I just described.
Cool. This guy's just here. He still has the guns.
I will say, you know what? This figure glances around, looks at the horses, and he'll take the thing of rifles and kind of toss it to the ground and begin to raise his hands.
Correct. And the other one's just running, looking for a horse to jump on, correct?
That is correct, yeah.
I'll just sort of look down the length, look at the guns, and I'll just work on securing this die. Make sure he doesn't go anywhere.
Perfect. You kind of grab him by the wrist. I'm not even going to make you do a grapple. You're just trying to like hold this person down, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Easy enough. You see him kind of like put his hands behind his head and like drop to his knees.
I will pull the bow back out as I see this 2 guy still here in range, just in case he tries to come any closer than he currently is.
If he comes closer, you'll fire. Is that right? Perfect.
Yes.
Okay. You are able to do that. Absolutely. Okay. It is this figure, and he kind of makes eye contact with you, Gendri, and glances at his figure. And you see him kind of put his 2 fingers between his lips and whistles and goes like this. And you see as the rest of these figures now begin to drop away as they seem to abandon the pursuit. And as this figure kind of looks and meets eyes with you, Gendri, he kind of tilts his head at you and drops back away.
Do they leave this guy on the train?
They absolutely fucking do. As you see, I'm going to call combat here unless anybody wants to take pot shots. But this guy running down towards the end of the train...
Surely do.
They're basically calling it here. They were not able to secure the weapons at all. and there's almost like this weird moment of like respect from this highwayman captain as he kind of begins to drop away, and you see them almost immediately vanish up over a ridgeline as the train begins to not speed up, but continue its pace, leaving them behind very quickly. This figure like reaches the end of the train, and you hear him kind of grab him. No, wait for me, son of a fuck! And you just see him like turn and put his hands up like this as he kind of like mimics his friend and puts it behind his back and drops to his knees, and we will leave combat. And that, my friends, is where we're going to take today's break.
Oh.
Early break.
Yeah.
A little bit early, yeah. Early break. Guys, don't forget, while we're on break, you can get entered in our Skull Splitter dice giveaway. Use exclamation point win to enter. Followers get 1 entry, subscribers get 2. If you're going to subscribe to it beforehand, it's not retroactive. We'll be drawing that giveaway at the end of this month, which is getting close, my friends. One more week, and we'll be doing it. So stick around for that, and we will be back in 10 minutes. Bye!
See ya!
Bye.
You're out.
Hi there, my name's Sloan, and you're on the Welcome In. If you're new here, or you just need a little bit of a refresher as to what's going on in our campaigns, you can find that information over on our fandom wiki. There you'll find info about our PCs, our NPCs, and write-ups of all of our past episodes. But if reading isn't really your thing, you can also find arcs of our campaigns summarized in neat little 10-minute videos over on our YouTube, where you can also catch all of our past broadcasts. Thanks so much for watching, and welcome in! Ding!
Keep your inner dice dragon. Just use the code, get 10% off your first order. Shop today. New adventurers will get some things like a sticker pack with 3 stickers, free downloadable PDF adventure, a free mystery dice set. It's so sick. Hold on to your skull, cause it might split. SkullSplitterDice.com. Hurry now, bring some new dice home. SkullSplitterDice.com. Hurry now, bring some new dice home.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back in.
We level up?
Welcome back in.
Huh?
You did.
we
It's
level up?
crazy.
That's weird.
Hey, when we last left our party just before the break, they had just successfully deterred these highwaymen from boarding and retrieving some goods they had been intent on, seemingly a bundle of rifles. Not only that, but they were able to lock down a couple of these figures who now stand hands clasped behind their backs, or excuse me, kneel hands clasped behind their backs. Near the end of the train, Gendry currently keeping watch over them as the folks who had been pursuing the train fall away in the distance. How do you proceed, my friends?
Is everybody okay?
I'm fine. Is our
Yeah.
conductor in one piece?
I'll go check.
Yeah, no, she's good. I ran back down because nobody was up there, so
Good to hear.
I can go
I'd
run
like
up
to
there and check
approach.
if you want.
If you are okay with it, sure.
Yeah, sure. Tristan's gonna start making his way back.
Sig
Okay,
will
Tristan, you begin to head towards the conductor, the
close the
engine.
distance behind
Honey and Sig move towards Gendry.
Okay, so you said you had permission to steal things, but that's counterintuitive because theft is not something that you can grant permission for, because then it is just giving a thing. They say to the nearest Eladrin.
The figure kind of looks up, and as they look up at you, it's a little more difficult to see this again with their face obscured.
All right,
but,
pull
like,
those away immediately.
as you pull the mask away, then Gendry, you reveal almost a sort of pale attire with little bits of like auburn or spring colored foliage caught in hair, but more brown flowing hair on one and almost platinum locks on the other. The ears aren't quite as long, and their eyes actually have like specific pupils rather than just being that full auburn shade. They have pupils on whites with these orange to them. As they kind of glance up at you. I don't. Vathras gets the information. We just follow orders.
You don't know from whom?
That's the name Vathras, right?
The fellow with the pistols from earlier.
As he's stuttering, Sig is gonna grab the other individual at the end of the train.
Pull him together or leave him there.
I'm going to pull him up and bring him to his friend.
He kind of complies as you get the two here. The train's still moving along as you kind of have them both now penned here.
And you don't know where he gets this information? You don't know what group give orders?
You kind of, as this first figure like goes to answer, the other one kind of like nudges a little bit, and you could see
you
some
don't know.
resistance.
Backhand him across the face.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm not even gonna make you roll to hit, obviously. This is easy enough as you kind of slap. And what were you gonna do with Sig?
He was gonna do the same thing.
Okay. And are you
But no,
So
if
Gendry kinda
if
jumps
Gendry does
in
it,
as
Sig's
Sig
not doing
goes.
it. If Sig's not
Okay.
doing it.
are you striking the one who does the nudge
I,
or
the
the one
nudging.
who is going?
The one who
Okay.
does the nudging.
Okay, I want Gendry to make an intimidation check with advantage.
Okay.
Well, then Tristan went to go check on the conductor, correct?
That is a 9.
Yes.
Sorry.
A 9?
Not great.
Oh, that's some bullshit.
just-
What modifier were you using for it?
That would have
Charisma?
been my charisma.
Would strength give you a better number?
No.
I tried to get it for you, my
no,
guy.
that's good. That's good.
If
You do strike this figure, and he kind of glances to the side, and a little bit of blood kind of speckles across the ground, and it silences him and stops his movement, but it doesn't seem to instigate the other figure to begin restating what he was about to say, almost as if he
Okay.
was cowed by his companion.
So your friend's gesture made it very obvious that you do know, so you're going to have to tell us if you'd like to, keep staying in the very safe and undamaged state that you're in, I think.
I think we're being plenty accommodating, I would listen.
Honey, I will have you make a persuasion check. and I will give you advantage to the persuasion check off the slap from earlier and the looming 2 armed figures as well, or other 2 armed figures as well.
17?
17. You kind of see them now, like, he, and they kind of like glance conspiratorial, and there is more youth. No, this is one of the older figures, and he kind of looks up. And there's a stone. He speaks to it. It gives him information where the train's gonna be, where the supply caravans are gonna be. Is Siegfried
No,
raising
Alec
his
is.
hand?
No.
Okay. Well, Alec, what do you don't have to.
I want to be polite in case anybody has any interjections, but are sending stones a thing here?
Absolutely.
Like a common thing?
Not a common thing, but there's certainly people are aware of.
Would we have like knowledge of this thing existing?
Absolutely, yeah.
I'm just saying, if there's a role required, I understand.
So a little bit of world building, so I'll take the opportunity. There is a international organization called the ICB, which stands for the International Communications Bureau, which is literally a international system of infrastructure that allows for the use of amplified sending through wizards. That is a resource almost like Telegram used by large towns to communicate across long distances, which is built upon the foundational concept of sending stones.
Is it then sorry,
so they're not like regular ware that people have ready access to, but it's something that people can pay wizards to utilize.
I was going to say it would be some sort of like affluent benefactor who might have something like this.
Yeah.
Got it.
It's essentially a telegram system, but with magic.
Welcome in, Raider.
Even to the point where, because there are limitations to sending, there are short form languages used through the process to convey metrics and meaning.
So like a sending stone. Somebody relays the information to him.
Yes. That's exactly.
You have not a clue who would have given him something like this.
He always kept that close to his chest. Wouldn't let us touch it or go near it.
Where do you stay? They left you. You owe them nothing.
Another pause, but holding on the persuasion check and the persuasive argument. We have like a base camp and then move across through the... And he kind of glances at his peer, who's just kind of like shaking his head, but doesn't say anything. There's still a little bit of blood. And he kind of says, there are old Karazi dwarf tunnels in the mountains. You can use it to get around without having to traverse over the top of the Thousand Fronts. We stay at a place called Yanbevar, an old Eladrin settlement that was destroyed during the war. There's the ruins of a waygate there.
Would we know what a waygate is?
Make an Arcana check for me.
Would I... Never mind.
Interesting question. Your
Yeah.
DC is different.
Okay.
And thank you for
12.
reminding me by asking.
Yeah.
An Arcana check?
13, sorry. I can read.
13.
11.
11. Okay. We will jump to you in a second, Trystan, but as you're getting up there, this conversation kind of continues. We might give you the ability to come back. What was that, a 12, Alec?
13.
And a 13.
I got an 11.
11, okay. Honey with a 13, and kind of the context that you have, would have heard mention of waygates being modalities of arcane transportation heavily used by the Eladrin, Riol, and Malakri High Elf races for tens of thousands of years. It has fallen out of use because the ability to craft them has been lost to those populations. They were very complex magical teleportation platforms that allowed for constant travel without necessity of a caster, a sort of permanent door.
This way gate, does it lead everywhere? Multiple
The
places?
way gate doesn't work. We're just camped there. The dwarven tunnels let us avoid the worst of the Thousand Fronts. It's still
Why?
long distances, but we can get to our target.
Why do you need the guns?
Vitharis believes that we need to push you out of this place. And this other figure kind of chimes in. And right he does! You've
Hey.
done nothing but damage these lands. He kind of flinches at that, Gendri.
I
The
just
other
look.
figure.
Who's the other one? Keep
Yeah.
talking.
He kind of like, yeah. Perfect. He kind of, Vitharis believes that what happened 140 years ago will happen again. Better we be equipped to do it. He claims to operate on behalf of the Eldrin across the mountains, though. I don't think that's a formal sanction, but nonetheless, we find ourselves here. And you can see the other figure who kind of chimed in. There was a zeal to that response.
Yeah.
Honey looks at that one. They're pretty small. I think they look up. They like go around and look up to him. And you don't think it's suspicious that a figure Valaris refuses to tell you about is giving you the means to do this? You don't think you're being used?
The fools. North or south, they're all driven by greed. Might as well take what they're offering, use it for our own gain. It'll blow up in their own faces, just like all of their little inventions have.
Question.
Yes.
Were we aware that this train was carrying weapons?
You were not.
I'll be right back.
Okay.
I'll meet up with Trystan in a minute.
Let's jump to Trystan. Thank you for that reminder, Sean.
worries.
Adam, thank you for being patient. As this conversation, Gendry turns to
This is
go,
fascinating. I'm
Trystan.
I'm in. Don't worry about me.
what you got, my guy? What you got for me as you run up the train? You're just
I
making
think-
it there as this we reach this junction in the conversation. You're kind of
Yeah, I think he just walks in, doesn't really knock because he told because he had kind of popped his head and said like, hey, be prepared, attack's about to come. So I think he pops back in, hey, all good. We got a couple.
you see she's there. She's good job. Well done.
Yeah, there's a couple of fellows that we got, but
You have them locked down.
yeah,
Slides the wrench back on her hip.
Oh yeah. Got him interrogating them right now, I think.
That's a very
not-
good.
I'm not really big on that, so I wanted to make sure that you were all right. Didn't see anybody head this way, so I'd head back for a little bit.
If you've scared them off, then I'm more than good. Well done.
Yeah, right. Do we have any idea of how much longer this is gonna be? Just wondering.
We should be closing late this evening, just after the sun is setting.
Gotcha. Yeah,
And it's now like 1 in the afternoon.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so a few hours. Not too bad.
Not too bad, yes. We'll be
Right.
able to speed up a little bit more once we make it through Clifford's.
Yeah. Does this happen every time y'all take the train through this area?
Fairly regularly, not every single one, and they have struck at caravans as well. This is why we are in such a predicament.
Gotcha. Yeah, no, I just certain things aren't adding up perfectly to me because it doesn't really make sense, but
What do you mean?
why would they attack y'all repeatedly? That's just real confusing to me. You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't make sense to keep attacking and stealing when you've hired other people to help protect the caravan, correct? Or
We
the
used to
train.
carry the engineers, but they refuse to go now.
But
Many of
you've
them were
hired
fairly
other
handy.
people like us, right?
Not in the past.
Can I insight?
We have to
check
be
that?
very cautious about sending armed individuals into this space. But yeah, make an insight check.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
he's a little suspicious on that. Oh,
He's sus.
I'm a sussy little bot. Well, hey, guess what? I'm real sus because I got a natty 20, baby.
On a natty 20. She seems to believe that makes sense. It's not. She's not concealing anything from you.
Mhm. It's just
They need supplies. If they are living out here, they would be desperate.
that's valid.
Although it is strange that things they do not take everything ever. We just assume as much as they can carry.
Is it specific things that they're taking, or is it like just generally everything? You know.
She kind of pauses and scratches her chin. When we look at the inventories, a lot of the time they will take gold and some food and supplies, enough to get by. But worse than that, they do tend to take mechanical equipment at times.
Right.
Stuff needed to continue to build the rail.
See, that's confusing to me immediately because why would they take gold if they're living out here? Doesn't make sense if you're.
Gold
Out
is gold.
I guess, but I don't know.
And that she seems to be telling you that that is what's being taken. But
Mhm,
you are, I will say, with that natty 20, Adam,
mhm.
it doesn't make any sense. So the insight check, she is like, she's not being insincere, but you are grasping on something here.
Gotcha. I think he just. Right. I guess I'll make my way back down to the other folks, see how they're doing. And I'm glad that you're safe.
Well done.
Don't forget to put in that good word for me. And
I certainly will. You've done an excellent job.
I think he starts walking out and is not like rushing back to the group, but he's just kind of slowly
Sussing it
making his
out.
way back and being like, why would they steal? Like stealing gold and stealing the things they're saying doesn't really matter. Like, why would they hit a train just to like? It's useful, but it's not that useful out here, like what he was told. So he's kind of going through like what else it could be as he's making his way back down.
Gendry, we'll jump to you as you begin to make your way back up the train. You were going towards Trystan, correct?
I was going towards the engineer. The front.
Okay, you guys like meet in the car on your way back as Trystan is making his way towards you.
Everything good?
Are you alive?
Oh yeah, absolutely. They're fine.
Good. I just start walking around.
Right. Right. Did you see what they were trying to steal?
I did.
Sorry.
You're welcome to come if you'd like. You're part of this too.
But would you mind informing me so I don't get like surprised in a minute?
Guns.
That makes a lot more sense, right? Well, our conductor just lied about something, saying that they were stealing gold and mechanical parts, things like that. Nah.
I'm sure they did.
Yeah, I'll definitely be coming with you.
All right.
And turns back around and starts heading back up the train.
You make your way back up towards the engineer. As you guys are, I will jump back to the other two. Are you doing anything as they kind of kneel here before you?
Like to look at the guns.
So did Gendry share that information with you guys?
Oh, I thought they were on the ground still. Are they
Would you-
not?
I'm not saying that he didn't. I
would have moved
wasn't
them away from the
role-playing.
edge, but I would have just pointed
Okay, so
them out
they're
back there trying
available.
to take this. Yeah.
Got it. Perfect. So you do see the gun sitting there, honey. Thank you. Sorry, guys.
I would like to look them over.
Okay, make an investigation check for me.
Ooh, 11.
As you look them over, this is like a bundle of like 5 or 6 black powder rifles. And you can see now as you kind of pull back the cover, there is also shot and powder that is tucked away in little bags. Turning them over, there are no identifiers on these weapons.
And that's
Oh.
unusual, correct?
Yeah, absolutely.
Siegfried,
Yeah.
do you have an idea of who might use this type of weapon most commonly?
I imagine if they're trying to do some sort of militia, some sort of force to prepare for a war that may never come, I imagine they're trying to outfit...
I mean, is there a country that this specific make is most frequently used in?
Could I make a check?
You can make an investigation check because honey draws your attention towards.
Okay. I have an ass investigation, but 16.
16. With a
17
16,
minus 1, yeah.
Funnily enough, with a 16, as you go to look at one of these rifles, to take one from Honey's hand and you turn it over, you can see where the manufacturer's mark has been scraped off of the metal. But specifically you, because of where you live, you have seen these rifles produced in the Jean-Marc munitions factory.
Where I'm from.
In Chateau de Coyonnet.
Okay.
Almost directly across the creek from your home.
They make this at home. Sorry, Josh.
No, please.
Right across from Zephyr's place. What's the plan here? As he sort of gets low in their faces, quite apparently pissed off.
To have enough armaments to drive you lot out.
It's a fool's errand. Even if you had all the guns in the world, you would still be outnumbered. But that's not the point. You're zealots. Believing in something that will... You don't know if it'll pass or not. Letting somebody guide you without even knowing who's funding this.
We weren't a part of this war. And look what they did to us. With their machines and their guns.
I'm not saying the war was justified. I'm not saying the war was good. You're living in a war right now. You're not living. You're exacerbating the problem. And I think he'll walk over to Honey, put a hand on their shoulder. Are you okay?
It seems to me that either these weapons are being put here specifically for them, or they are being brought to where the Amity line ends.
Yes.
And they are being taken in the middle. And if the second is true, then that is purposefully breaking the accord.
I think we're going to have to talk. Have to have a talk with the mayor.
I don't know if it is the mayor.
Somebody has to know that these were made in Chateau de Coligny.
There's also the possibility that someone is framing Rougemont. There are a lot of possibilities here.
You're right. Sorry, I'm just fired up about this. You're right. I think we should take our time and figure this out as a group. What are your names? Oh, sorry.
I am going to jump to the... I'm
Please,
sorry,
no.
I keep catching. I am going to jump to the other group as you
Fine.
make your way back into the engineer's camp. John, Gendry, excuse me, and Trystan.
Yeah. So...
She kind of turns to look at you. Oh, hello.
Right. Hello. Do you have any sort of manifest to make sure they didn't get away with anything unseen?
Oh, absolutely, yes. Good call. And she kind of like checks the gauges and turns and goes with you. I can show you. They're right this way.
Right. And I'll follow them.
She walks back into that front closed carriage, and off to the side there is this like little locked box right at the front. She pulls out a key off of her belt and opens it and pulls out this legend. She says, "This right here is the logs of the items that are being transported. and kind of says, right this way, and brings it over to that table that's sitting in the middle and sets it down. Please take a look. Well done again.
Thanks. And as I'm just sort of like absent, like just passively sort of replying to them as I'm looking through the logs. Do I see any mention of weaponry whatsoever?
Make an investigation check for me.
Can I help?
Yes, I will allow Trystan to glance over and give advantage.
Sure. Thank you. My brain is mush. Oh, is that a 7? Oh, fuck yeah. 17 plus.
Okay.
Negative 1. 16.
As 16. Okay. With a 16, as you flip through these records, there are...
More specifically, as Adam flips through these records, and I'm just sort of like...
You're turning the pages and Trystan is watching? Okay, yeah. With a 17, what you would get is there are no guns at all on record here. And as you get near the bottom of each page seems to be an independent ledger, and it's just filled up with what is being conveyed at a date. You see, like, near the top, there's a bunch of clerical information. Near the bottom, it is signed by a specific individual.
Whose name sounds like...
Name would be... Let me pull this up. I should have had this ready. Whoopsie. Foreman Gilbert Griggs.
Foreman Gilbert Griggs. Okay. And as we're sort of looking through each page, not seeing anything, I would just sort of turn to them and say, do you know who provides the supplies you put on your vessel?
We acquire them from all across Chateau de Coligny. They come through in various trades, brought to the rail yard, and then the company loads things aboard to be shipped, tracked by the manifest there. We keep it under lock and key. There are only a few of us who have access.
Right, so only a few of you know what's on this manifest at a given time.
That is correct.
So why did we just rescue a shipment of rifles on your ship?
What do you mean?
I can show you if you'd like. Black powder rifles.
For the first time, there is mortification on this person's face at the understanding of what that would mean. Global war. Lead me right away. And she kind of like is immediately ready to...
Yeah. I'll just sort of look at the few books on Trystan's body and be like, here, hand him the manifest and keep going.
Tristan 100%
Here you go, boy.
And just puts it behind his back into like a loop and just...
It was literally just like, I don't want to hold this, you hold it, and then he left.
Trystan, you can add Amity Rail manifest to your inventory.
We just stole a manifest, y'all. On accident.
And I will lead or follow them towards the rifles.
You kind of take the lead because she's almost speaking to herself a little bit. That is impossible. We that's no. And there's sort of this like panic starting to set in a little bit, just at the concept of this. And as you lead her down towards the group, we'll jump back to them as Siegfried asked a question that I rudely interrupted. Sig, these two figures look at you. The one near the back doesn't immediately answer, but the other one says, my name is Enadys, Enadys.
Thank you.
Hey, what are you gonna do with us?
Not going to kill you.
I appreciate that. Their hands still behind their heads like this.
Put your hands down.
Kind of drop it.
Do you have any weapons on you? I will know if you lie.
The one who has been complying begins to pull a few daggers out of their belts, and then a black powder pistol comes out from tucked in behind the duster and drops it to the floor.
A genuine hand on the shoulder, thank you.
They kind of look at the other figure, and the other figure kind of rolls their eyes a little bit, and then pulls two pistols and drops them, along with several daggers as well, and then throwing knives out of their sleeves.
Sig will throw those in the empty space that his javelin, the few javelins he threw out, left, just to make sure they're on his person.
Oh, the throwing knives, or sorry, which
Everything.
Okay. There is a lot there, so it would be 3 black powder pistols.
Yep.
You can just use the pistol block.
Yeah.
And it would be 5 throwing knives,
Okay.
and then 3 daggers.
Okay.
As you are, it's quite apparent the number of items dangling from your person.
I'm
here.
kind of just like, Jesus Christ. I'm like, do you have any
It's like
questions?
Zal
or-
emptying his pockets. They
Everyone.
They're-
just
Sorry, I misunderstood. I thought Alec asked if
I think he
had
did
any
ask you,
questions.
and
I
I was
did.
rude.
You're fine.
Oh. They look incredibly sad and worried.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm great. You are stuck out here. You have nowhere else to go. They'll ask. I think the younger one, since the older one seems a little less compliant, are willing to answer questions.
I just want to go back to the Twin Woods. And with that, I would like you to make a history check.
I'm good at history. 19.
19. The Twin Woods, which maintain elven dynasties, 2 of them specifically on the other side of the Bloomfort Range, have been in a sporadic state of civil and war, not just civil, but basically war against each other, on and off, for longer than the War of the Forge, longer than the most of the nations of Northern Iddar. In your reading at the university, just brief curiosity, with a 19, it's argued that the reason that the nations of man established here is because the elves were in conflict with each other at the time and simply decimated their own populations. Now, in today's contemporary perspective, that's more obfuscated as those populations have blended into each other. But the legacies in those parts of the world on the far reaches of the Bloomfort Range, almost as hostile as Vega Castle itself, that conflict has stemmed tens of thousands of years.
I'm very sorry. Is there... Obviously they look young, but do they seem like full Eladrin, like they have elven lifespans?
These 2 are elven, but not full Eladrin.
Okay.
Half-lads.
The the tempering of the intensity that you saw coming off of the figure who you assume is Vitharis, it's not, their aesthetic, their appearance is not the same. As they kind of glance down, and that lingering thought that weapons could be used on the other side of the Bloomfort as well. And that is when Gendri, Trystan, and our Norkai engineer return.
I will approach the pile of guns. I will pull one of them from whatever this burlap wrapping is. I will check it to make sure it's not loaded, first off.
It is not loaded.
Okay.
And it's a fairly easy, these are like pump lever.
Very familiar. Do I get the sense that they're familiar in any way, or is this like a
Make an investigation check as well.
An off-brand. That is a investigation -1, 12.
With a 12, what is interesting for you is they're not the name being scraped off of them. Absolutely,
Obviously,
there
that's
is a
very weird.
requirement by national identity that needs to be on there
Mhm.
in every corner of northern Iddar. The type of rifle, just given how long you've been away from this sort of thing, is fairly modern, and you're not seeing any signs of companies that you're familiar with.
Okay. Makes
Do
perfect sense.
I see the name now scraped off? Because I wasn't.
Yeah, I will say now, as Gendry kind of holds it
I
up,
would have
everyone gets...
inspected it and showed like the conductor everything about it that I saw.
I might be able.
And
to
you see her kind of take the rifle and turn it. No,
uh,
not good.
I might be able to figure out which company made that.
She kind of hands it off to you.
And you watch as Trystan turns it over and goes, "All right, so." And you watch as he pulls his hand over where it is, and I'm gonna cast Mending on that where it's scraped out to see if I don't know if it would go back to being gone or if it would go back because I don't,
Interesting.
you know what I
That's
mean?
pretty
Like,
cool.
That's very cool.
and the visual of this is you see as where Tristan's hand is hovering above it, it almost looks like a series of pins and locks, and as he's studying it, his hands are moving, and as he's doing it, it's mending the little pieces as he's essentially, it looks like he's breaking into a lock, but he's doing it from like a magical perspective, and as he's doing it, it's like fixing the piece.
Hmm.
As you begin to cast this spell, the surface begins to shift, almost raising back up. It doesn't become a complete full image of what it was, because the spell isn't quite powerful enough to just completely return this engraving.
Yeah.
But you do get this embossed, and as you look at it, there is a J with this sort of swirling letter, and the beginnings of what you're pretty sure is like an N or an M.
Like monogrammed.
Like a logo of a company.
J.
And Siegfried, as you are looking at this, the lines with the monogram of Jean-Marc.
Jean-Marc.
That is how did it get onto her? Who?
Well, there are a couple possible answers to that. Either someone in Rougemont is planning some sort of offensive, or someone in Rougemont is purposely giving guns to a Ladrin here, or Rougemont is being framed, and someone wanted us to find this, but...
If you're going to frame someone, why scrape off the identification?
Easy to bring back, he did it real fast. You're very brilliant, but I mean...
You watch as the conductor kind of drops back and puts her hands in her, or her head in her hands, and is... This could mean a war. We...
We will work to avoid that.
And Trystan brings out the
We need to
manifest.
speak to the foreman immediately.
Before we do that, quick question: which of these trains, like, 'cause the manifest has all the trains that have gone?
There is only one train. This is the only train
but
on
I
the
mean, like,
planet.
I meant like a log.
Oh, this is the
Sorry,
log of runs. That is correct.
Yeah, that's what I meant. Was the runs? Like, just,
Sorry, thank you for
I
clarifying.
spoke
did not
dumbly.
understand.
But,
You know,
uh,
you said the right thing. I just didn't understand.
Which of these were the ones that got hit? And Trystan, you see Trystan bring out a second notebook to mark which ones are the ones that got hit, if you don't mind.
She begins to and this is going to take some time to
Yeah,
flip
if you
back
wanna
through.
go
And
inside,
Probably do this up at the front.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
She kind of takes the book and gets up and nods at you. We should at least hide those from what is visible. If that is seen, we could start the war. Could you handle that?
Hiding them or getting them off the train?
Either. I trust you to handle it. Just get them out of sight for now. We should
Right.
probably keep them to show them to the authorities, don't you? And she seems completely out of her depths with this. She's an engineer and a conductor, and is all of a sudden this confidence that has been this space that is hers,
He'll,
when geopolitics is being applied, is just fallen away.
Right.
Sig will just kind of move up towards her. Let us do what we were paid to do. Protect the train and the people on it. Okay?
Thank you all. And she takes the book and will head into the car, and you see her like sitting down at the table. Oh yeah.
I'm so sorry before she goes. Who are all of the people who could have had contact with this between it being loaded
Of course.
onto the train and the foreman checking it? Obviously the foreman.
Myself, obviously. And then the chief engineer, my wife Rosalind, Foreman Griggs at the Amity Rail Yard, and then at the AR camp it would be Foreman Pouts, Pouts. That would be the only people who have a key.
Well, good thing that's a short-ish list.
Sorry, Pouts is who we're going to?
Yeah, they are the foreman at the southern AR camp,
So they
and
couldn't have
Griggs
done
is the
that.
foreman
Griggs
at
is-
the main camp.
Okay, thank you.
And who knows when the train moves?
The
It's scheduled.
foremans and myself need to know. The foreman's assured that the goods are on the train and when the pickup needs to happen.
Well,
So
someone is telling them when the train move, which make you a pretty big target.
and if foremans are dealing
That
with
would explain
you,
why they can find us so quickly. They know our travel routes.
Well, somebody else.
There is somebody in the company.
Somebody else would know your travel routes, which would the people that supply these, correct? 'Cause they'd have to know when supplies need to be ready.
We intake the goods at the yard and load them onto the train.
If the foreman is responsible for what happens to these crates before they get on the train, they would have to be involved in this somehow.
one
Oh
if
my
not
God.
both.
Right.
Wait, do the attacks only happen when you're heading out, or do they happen on both ways, back and forth?
They head on the way out. Which is when they're bringing supplies, they're usually just bringing like refuse and other items back.
An insight. I mean, I don't know that
You can
that
make an insight
Tristan
check.
already insight checked. I
Yeah,
know it's redundant, but I
absolutely.
don't have the
That's-
knowledge.
that's-
You scrutinize this individual. Please do. Please do. And please roll
Um,
low so I can tell you not to trust them.
Okay, I rolled well. I'm sorry.
You
What
still
am I
don't
rolling?
trust-
Insight. 23.
This person is distraught by
Okay.
what they are learning here. There is a slight shake to their hands. She's kind of nervous. The concept of what has been happening under her nose and guidance, and the almost vanity that requires her to miss that and belief that they are infallible is weighing on her dramatically.
I think as this is happening and like the realization is quite present on the conductor's face, Sig is going to get between the two half Eladrin folk and sort of, you see that? You could be the cause of the war you're trying to avoid. Did you ever think about that? Or were you too hung up on the words of your fearless leader?
The figure who has been kind of more agreeable, let's not say completely agreeable,
Sure.
but more agreeable, hails at that. The other figure kind of spits and says, "Let them tear them fucking selves apart."
Sig pushes him up against the wall. You want innocents to die.
Enough already have? Might as well be theirs.
Punches him.
You see, you can make an attack roll if you want to. Unarmed strike.
Yep.
This will be non-lethal. I assume.
No,
You're trying to
but
kill him?
no.
Don't want to assume.
No.
Okay, perfect.
I rolled a 2 for an 8, so I imagine he just punches the side of the wall.
Oh, that's beautiful. There's this as your fist impacts and indents this crate right next to this figures, and there's a flinch. And just
If you have no morals, you have no warrant to judge others for theirs. Sit down and shut the fuck up. Sig drops him.
Yeah, he slides down the crate and just sits there quietly.
Sig sits on a crate and just sort of looks at everybody.
Right. Well,
I have an idea. It's kind of why I was asking about which trains were hit. Maybe there's some type of a code written into the lines, in the sense of like there's extra food on each one that's been hit so that they can cover up the tracks. It not actually being extra food, being hidden weapons or hidden.
The
hidden
food
things.
was reported as lost on the logs.
But-
That's why I assumed they were raiding for supplies.
But that's what I mean. Is possibly what if they are using food, or whoever is doing this is writing it into the log as extra food or extra amounts of food that are being written in to hide,
Like a
to hide
cover?
what's being taken as a cover. Yeah. So I'm thinking if you could show me which parts were hit or which trains were hit, I can cross-reference that with the ones that weren't hit to get
Right.
supplies.
She kind of like turns back to going towards her duty as things kind of, and takes a seat and begins marking with like a star each
Okay.
page in the corner.
Yeah, and he's copying down. Like I think Trystan for at least the next while is just sitting there with a book and cross-referencing and just doing that to see if he can figure out a pattern.
She has to pause a few times to check the engine and manage speed because someone still has to drive the train. But she kind of comes back and over kind of the next hour. So you've still got some time before you reach your destination. This is filled out. Is anyone else doing anything in that time?
I'm gonna throw these guns off the train.
Perfect. Beautiful.
Save me a
Easy enough. Just
Uh,
toss them off or...
If someone wants to keep the one that Adam sort of worked on, that's fine. But
Yeah.
the crate is going off.
That's
That
fair and valid.
makes sense. Sega's just going to keep the handguns that are in his
That's totally fine.
super stuffed pick and save bag.
Basically
Tote of holding.
So you, Gendri, are within, it doesn't take you long, and it is a crashing, shattering sound of breaking metal and snapping barrels as they hit the ground in mass and scatter against the floor. These are sturdily built things, but there is no way any of these are fireable without a lot of work having hit the ground at the speeds you're moving at.
Right.
You could even pick a spot that runs along a cliff edge easy enough. And
Yeah, just somewhere where they'll be lost and destroyed if they hit the bottom. Yeah. That's what he's going to do immediately.
Button?
Surname Griggs? Thaltian? Or
Griggs is fairly Thaltian sounding, yes. I was
Okay.
checking my notes to make sure.
That's fair. No, I just... The short list of suspects.
Yeah. That's good, though. That means we don't have to overexert ourselves too much, and it seems like the foremen are the ones that we really need to look into, at least off the bat.
I mean, they are not up at the front when they say this. There's the engineer's wife.
Yes. I was thinking that too, but I didn't want to say it. Thank you for being braver than I am right now.
There's a possibility. I don't want it to be, but
I know.
it would be silly to rule something out just because it feels bad.
Yep. You're right. Okay.
I am going to find a spot between the two hostages.
Yep.
Extra passengers. Sorry.
Our plus two.
Captives.
We have guests.
Captives.
And
We
I'm
got there.
I'm going to sit down and just sort of quietly open my whiskey bottle, just start drinking a little bit. And then sort of look towards the one that just almost got punched. and then the one who's been more cooperative, and I'm just sort of gonna point the bottle towards either one of them.
Okay, make a persuasion check with me or for me.
Okay.
One has a set DC and one has like a higher DC to kind of. You did not.
I did. I'll take a picture of it.
Hey!
Hell
look at my
yeah!
hand right
Right
here.
here.
It's perfect.
Like,
Ah!
The more
Natural
amicable
20.
figure immediately takes it and like takes a long pull from it and hands it back to you and just kind of like stares off into the distance a little bit. And as you offer it to the second figure, there is a pause and then a kind of taking of it and a pull and a handing back. There's nothing said, but it is accepted.
I get it back. I'm like, Jesus. Like they took too
Both
much.
very long draws.
I cork it back up.
It was-
So,
Go.
no, go for it.
Has anybody here ever used a gun?
Take another drink.
I'm not there.
Josh, have I ever used a gun?
Would likely not have. It's your call if you want, but I won't say that you're like proficient with their.
No, they're not proficient. I'm just, yeah.
Josh, would I have ever used a gun?
Would I be proficient?
Jesus
Because
fucking
of-
Christ, so many questions.
Because of
Sorry.
No, you're
so
fine.
Want the gun?
yeah, mechanic. I don't. I
Sorry.
think, Honey, you would have seen and like engaged with weapons just because they're fairly prevalent in this period in history. Tristan, similar for you. You would have seen them, but it's not like they're not the sort of mechanics you're interested in, and you don't go around firing guns. I will actually say that likely, and I should have done this beforehand, that both Gendri and Sig would have proficiency. with
Okay,
those.
that's what I was asking before I added it to my sheet.
Yeah.
I want to just do that.
Yeah, go ahead and you both can add that proficiency in.
Okay.
Does anybody feel like they'd want to use one of these? Might
I
hit
don't know
hard.
how to, but I
Are you
want
doing
to.
this in the train or are you doing this out in the back?
Doing this in the train.
We'll say everybody's been moved to the 4-car, including
Okay,
the captives
makes sense.
now. Does that make sense for
Yeah.
everyone?
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah. Well, I would assume that was the business. They've been bound and all of that palaver.
I wouldn't mind if you have an extra one.
I have 3, and I'm not going to use
You
one
have 3
because I picked them up.
I want to learn how to shoot a gun.
He hands Honey a gun.
I have a gun.
He hands Tristan a gun.
Nice.
Gendry, do you want this?
I'm fine.
He throws the other one out.
Off the edge.
Yep.
They cratter against ground.
Same with
Now,
the
for those
daggers
of you,
and the. Sorry.
just really quick mechanics for those of you who aren't familiar with these, they are very dangerous pieces of equipment that are fairly heavily regulated within the nations that you travel in. So just keep those things in mind as well.
And you said Gendry and Sig add firearm proficiency?
Yes, both of you.
Oh.
We can't add firearm proficiency. You just have to add the gun specifically. But I just added rifles and pistols.
Yeah, that's perfect.
It's wild.
And the weapons that were handed to
Really?
you, Tristan and Honey, are pistols. So if you go into the items, the pistols are in there. They're a 1d10 piercing with a reload property.
Gotcha.
And rifle. The laser pistol, correct, Josh?
No.
Anti-matter rifle, you said?
Sorry,
No!
Josh,
Rifle,
I might
rifle
be incorrect
automatic or rifle hunting? Hunting probably.
Hellfire.
You know, at least we're getting the guns in world conversation out of the way.
Hellfire pistol. Is that the one that you were talking about?
Okay, so I put hunting rifle and pistol.
Pistol.
Cool.
Yeah.
Do I need a license for this?
Yeah, there's a very robust system. I don't know if that's true, Josh. I'm just.
There is, so it's not so much a license, but they are not provided for civilian use outside of incredibly wealthy people. So there is like a permitting process, but it's more related to privilege in this time period than it is to, global access, because they are still quite expensive to procure. That doesn't mean you don't find them readily available to figures who are dangerous.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie. I'm gonna take this thing apart and rebuild it better.
Yeah.
That's my goal with this thing.
Make sure all the powder's out of it.
I'm gonna come to you when I take this thing apart, and then I'm gonna rebuild it better.
The fuck does that
I
mean?
love Honey.
Yeah. Tristan's Trystan, I feel like has like a little bit of familiarity with these because he's taken them apart before. I feel, but
There's not a lot of machining to these.
And see,
It is a
absolutely
lever and a trigger, and it goes like this.
at
and I feel like,
seeing,
but that's what I mean. It's just it's like I can make this better.
at seeing these two kind of holding the guns in the way they do, I'm like, can I see those real quick, please?
Yeah.
He fucking dumps all of the powder possible out of it. He's like, no,
It's just
no.
furniture.
And then hands
these
it
were
back.
primed for attack, like they both had.
He'll-
They had, like,
I imagine with the
ball and
proficiency,
powder.
he'll like, you guys will see Sig extremely like comfortable with maneuvering this piece of equipment. Just sort of uncock it, dump out the powder. We can get this ready when we're more comfortable and not in a place where we can accidentally shoot each other. Cool?
Makes
Puts it in Honey's hand, hands it to Trystan.
Puts it
My
behind him.
papa good at these. I'm
Well-
not good at these.
Well, you can get good, maybe. I don't know.
Right,
Scrub.
I'm
They
gonna,
keep
kidding.
holding it like a bird.
Okay.
I'm gonna go back to doing my
Jesus.
thing. And Trystan-
Baby Barb.
Tristan reaches in his bag. You see him put on these golden, like gold spectacles, essentially, and just starts going back to writing with the ledger, and is at a level of just like, it's insane that he is just like writing down things and being like, maybe food. Like you can catch little notes that, like, again, his writing isn't like linear; it's all over the
Chaos.
page. And he understands it perfectly, but it's like at like one corner it says food ? Maybe wood and supplies ? At another corner of the page, and like there's no order to it, but Tristan seems to understand.
You mean it's like my DM's note?
Yes.
You have DM's notes?
Damn it.
I don't
Believe
do
it or
those.
not, yeah. I
Wow.
know.
Take notes.
Okay, so Sean, what you were saying with
Sorry, Sean.
captives?
No, you're fine. I would just sort of look between both of them after they took the drink, and the whole gun thing happened, and I would just say, "So, let's say, wildest dreams you make it off this ship or this train, whatever it is." Where are you going?
And the kind of the more amicable figure again kind of shakes their head, and that was Inidis. Says, I kind of repeating themselves a little bit. I just want to go home. I thought we could do some good. The other figure who's been slumped kind of against next to you as you sit between these two with his hands bound behind him kind of tosses his head back, and there's kind of a thud. And this was Landvis. I don't fucking know. Away from this place. Away from all of this.
Both fine, respectable answers. Your former life's behind you?
The first again amicable figure immediate nods.
And you?
The other figure, Landvis, kind of. We've been stuck. 1,000 fronts on one side. No way in or out. The way gate's destroyed. Can't get over the Bloom forts this far north. Hemmed in on all sides. The tunnel's collapsed. That'll go further towards the Shield Mountains. But Aris thinks that if we stockpile enough information, enough weapons, and they'll come and get us.
Well, their thoughts put you here.
I reckon I'd like to be away from here.
Right. And you should both have that chance. But if you ever in your life. Try to take someone else's away from them. You forfeit your own. Remember that.
It's kind of a nod from both of them. Quiet, stoic. And with the one who's a little more amicable, there's almost a tinge of shame that crosses their face. Just not briefly, actually, it settles in.
Good. We'll be in town shortly. Then you can scamper off in whatever direction you see fit.
You're going to let us go?
I don't care what you do. But if you cross my path again in this same manner, I will.
Hi, you have my word.
Good. Now then. Leave me alone. He's just going to start walking away further down the train.
Okay. I will say all of these things kind of achieved. The conductor has been able to mark out all the documents and passes it over to you, Trystan.
Awesome.
It's probably about 3 in the afternoon now. You've got a few more hours yet.
He's just going. Can I roll like?
Yeah, make an investigation check.
Okay.
What are the specifics you're looking for while you make that?
He's
for me?
trying to look for a pattern of items being marked like higher than other passages where they weren't hit, and then that correlating with attacks on the train and like those items then missing.
Perfect.
You know what I mean? Investigation.
Oh my god, there's a massive spider crawling up the side of my monitor.
No!
That is gonna be
Game on.
an 11.
Game on.
An 11.
Come on.
It takes you a while. Why?
Oh no!
Jesus.
It lives.
I tried to put it in a place where I don't like killing spiders.
Josh's whole
it got
body
away.
puckered. It wasn't just his butt.
As you're going through now, Trystan, it takes some time, especially with an 11, but with the pages marked, I'm going to say it takes you another hour and a half to complete this task. So we'll go back to the others in a second to see what they do with that time. But as you're going through, basically, as you begin to do that backtracking, what you see is that these manifests document losses as well. And there is a direct correlation between food loaded, food lost on ones that are attacked. There's a direct correlation of the amount loaded is the amount lost, or underneath it with some things left behind and accounted for, but it lines up numerically. Similarly with construction supplies, with bedding materials for workers, all of those things line up. But that doesn't make sense if the food is not being taken, which means somebody is doctoring these logs.
I think when Trystan figures that out, everybody else on the train sees him slam everything on the table and goes, I'm so fucking good. Sorry. I'm so sorry. I'm gonna go back to just, and he just sits down and starts writing again very quietly.
Okay. You are able to basically create, I will say, your own record of what has been, of that kind of identifies this loss element and provides mathematical proof of if these things arrived, these are being manipulated. These records are being manipulated.
Cool. All good.
Anything anyone else wants to do in that time as the day continues onwards?
I'd like to approach the conductor.
They're in the engine room at this point, trying to get the thing back up and moving as you reach more of a straightaway.
Dr. Wildeberg Edner.
Sorry.
Yes, that's me. Well done. I gave up and just started saying the conductor.
That's fair. Well, I think you understand that this is very delicate.
I
For the
certainly
obvious.
do, yes.
I think it's important that if you have means of communication right now, you do not use it right away. That we not tell Foreman Pouts. Or the other foreman, or your wife.
She
Until we are
pauses at
able
that.
to assess what may have happened here.
The gravity has not been lost on this figure. She kind of nods, flinches a little bit at the mention of her wife. We will proceed. Business as normal. Tell them you succeeded in driving attackers off. We are in a tricky position as well, because the empty rail camp is little more than a series of tents and construction equipment. We wouldn't be able to move from there either. There is communication there, but there are issues with communications within the Thousand Fronts. Sending does not work as well.
It seemed to me that the leader of Atharis is going to be able to communicate that the robbery was not successful if the foreman at this next stop seems to think something is amiss. That is a good tell. But if he does not, we are down to 2 suspects. And if either of them contact you, that is another tell as well.
It seems fair. I will let you all know. I can trust you all to keep this to yourselves as well for now, yes?
None of us want to start a war.
And there is this sort of connection there at that statement.
I don't know what life was like before it. But I imagine it was better.
I don't think many of us do. Thank you. Thank you all. I will do my best. We will proceed as business as normal until we know otherwise.
Can I just insight check to make sure that she isn't about to call up her wife?
Yeah, of course. You don't ever have to trust me.
I'm sorry!
I'm a
Always-
scoundrel.
Always just
It's
kill
a
them.
nat 20 on what's probably
Damn, that's 4.
obvious.
There's a wire. No, I'm kidding.
Shoot her!
Get down!
She does seem sincere with that level of insight check. There is very clear affection for her wife and not necessarily a belief that her wife could possibly be culpable of this, but she understands the gravity of what is going on. She's not admitting to belief that her wife is responsible, but she's not willing to risk what you have uncovered.
That's all I want. They don't necessarily want her like calling into question
Yeah,
all of that.
her-
They just
yeah.
they just don't want bad shit to happen.
You just rolled so high, you got all that information.
Okay, thank you very much, conductor.
Very good. She kind of turns back to her work, but that like energy that was there before is very much dampened. Seek, Gendry?
I am getting these 2 additional passengers kind of sat down. Do you need food? Do you need water?
The kind of shisty one glances at the other one, and the other one goes, "Hey, that would be much appreciated."
Starts taking out rations he has. And his water skin. Is there anything you need? Happy to help.
They just kind of begin to peck at the rations provided, each taking a sip. Kind of the more amicable one nodding. The standoffish one still being standoffish, a little less like aggressively so and zealotous, given the drink and the possibility of freedom, but
and then Sig goes and kind of sits by the at that round table just so he can see them in eyesight, line of sight, and just sort of, it's obvious he's very drawn into this situation and a bit introspective, but
sitting there all stoic like.
Yeah, super shittily, yeah.
Crazy how
Did you just make
stoic
a
and
stool
shitty
joke?
are not synonyms.
You just make a stool joke?
I did.
That's
Okay, interesting.
But yeah, just keeping an eye out and making sure they don't make any moves.
Head on a swivel. Sig,
Yep.
you are on guard. If you see anything, I will let you know. And Gendry, anything you want to achieve in that time, or you just go into your corner?
I'm going away.
Okay. The
I'm
train
gone.
continues onward, beginning to build up pace again, as you kind of break away from these, where the hills reach down. They still do where you're headed, and I'm going to move us over to a map in just a moment. But they're more long sweeping runs of hills and less small undulating hills broken with crevasses and so on and so forth. And the train is able to pick up these sweeps as you head in this direction, now nearing this kind of open stretch here. At this vantage point, you're up on a sort of rolling slope that runs down towards the inreach from the Bay of Presh, where the Thousand Fronts kind of wraps around. Have I even moved you guys to the map?
Yeah,
I have.
on it.
Good.
Yeah.
Okay. You kind of see the sitting banks of fog that roll slowly over the bay. You can't make out the southern reaches of Vegger Castle from here, but the expanse of water is visible to you. You are getting closer now to the towering peaks of the Bloomfort Range, where they get almost run up against this inlet of water. They cast a long, long shadow over this region of the Thousand Fronts. Up from the land where you run, it becomes less scorched earth and more pocked, burnt thickets and undergrowth. There are patches of green where the war never got to touch, where the chemicals haven't blown. There are stretches and segments of woodlands visible here. And eventually you sweep around this bend. And before you there is this river valley that runs down from the Bloomforts, traveling westwards towards where this inlet of the Bay of Presh is. This massive river reaching out and down, the river being called the Hillion. And up in the distance, many miles away, but still visible from your reach, you see massive, towering, abandoned fortifications on either side of the river. Old, abandoned crenellations. To those of you familiar with the history of the conflict, Opt Vedisti and Fort Hele, sitting on either side of the river. Fortifications that were the initial defensive points of the War of the Forge and points of contention as forces were pushed back and forth over the 140 years of war. They stand as these burnt, scarred, abandoned structures, fading into the darkness as the twilight begins to set, as you roll ever northwards towards the southern AR camp. And if you don't have anything further you'd like to do, eventually the camp begins to roll into visibility. Adam?
I was gonna say at some point, because like Sig said that he sat down at the table that he's been working at. I think at some point Trystan would look up.
Do you want to
and see
look a little closer to your mic, Adam?
No, I'm kidding. I think seeing that like Trystan or that Siegfried has like the stoic expression on his face, kind of, or would just kind of look up and are you all right? You don't seem I don't know how to put it into words, but you seem like something might be wrong. I know this is a lot, like I'm not going to act like it's not, but you know.
I appreciate the concern, Trystan. War is complex, and I have no love for it.
Yeah, neither do I, in any sense of the word.
Knowing that somebody from home might be doing this has me on edge. But
I didn't know that was your home.
I've lived at Chateau de Colonnay for about the last 10 years.
Oh, yeah, that. I'm sorry. That has to hurt.
That's not the part that hurts. People are capable of immense good and incredible evil. Anybody. That's not what I'm afraid of.
Is it war? Sorry.
People don't deserve to get hurt because of somebody else's belief. No matter how founded in history it might be. What these two proved to me is that they were unwilling to see that the actions they took to avoid the war might as well have started one.
Yeah.
I understand the scars that this war has left. More than most.
Yeah.
So, I just want to tread carefully. And I want everybody... Thank you for checking. Are you okay?
No, I'm fine. I tend to bury myself in my studies a lot. It's kind of my thing. I just wanted you kind of seen that look, so I wanted to make sure that you were.
I appreciate that. Could you keep an eye on them?
On the two, yeah, absolutely, no problem. I'm not gonna lie, I'm not as intimidating as you, and if they try something, I doubt I can stop them. I can throw some magic stuff at them.
Pat him on the shoulder. I think you'll be okay.
Okay, well,
if either of you move on Trystan, it'll be your heads.
Am I doing that, or like as I think as Sig like either gets up, I taking their I don't know if he wants me to take their heads or okay.
No, I'd do it.
Your head. Oh, okay. He's got your heads.
And then and then he'd go look for honey.
Okay.
They're coming back from the conductor.
Okay.
Timing.
So they'll meet. Are you doing okay?
This is really bad.
Yes.
And I don't know how to make anyone deal with consequences who is responsible, so I feel like it's only going to get worse. But
what?
The conductor not going to contact anybody about it, so we have time to formulate a plan. We can look at this Foreman Pouts guy and see if he they see if this person suspicious. See if they go looking for the cargo.
It's a good idea.
That seems like first step.
Yeah, it does. I just wanted to check. I know this was a lot. And you are free to talk to me at any point if you need anything.
They look up at him. Yes, this was definitely a lot for me, for sure. And if I ever need to talk about it, I'll definitely come to you. And if like the opposite were the case, you could also do the same.
Having a hard time, yeah.
They give him a hug.
He reciprocates.
He does.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think he doesn't need to say more words than that, unless he wants to. But they'll just give him a hug.
He'll just...
Also sit down. Do you want some of that Falanaki whiskey? It is peated.
Yeah, let's go back where Trystan is and drink a little bit. We check on Gendri. I know he seems to like his privacy.
Yeah. Yeah, I think we are what is called a bother.
I'm used to being that. He'll sort of sling his arm around Honey and walk with them back toward the sitting car.
Okay. You guys kind of sit, relax. Well, let's not use that word, but you know what I mean. You sit, you have a drink.
Unclench.
Unclench.
Unclench a little bit. You swing around, and this view eventually comes into visibility. The fortress is more readily visible earlier on, as that vista that was prior described comes into view. But eventually you see what is a wooden palisade come into view as the train begins to slow. Throwback to yesterday. The train begins to slow, even before you get within a mile of this place, as it begins to pace itself down. Eventually, the rails run right into the middle of the palisade, and the camp is sprung up directly around it. You see here there have been small offshoots of rail that built into the track, and you can see these strange little flat wooden platforms with wheels and these arms on levers that can be pumped up and down, little railway cars, basically set up for usage. You can see a slew of about 15 tents and a small sort of lean-to structure. As you approach, there are various figures already waiting at the basically wooden loading dock that runs along the right side of where the train pulls up. And you can see a few cranes and launches already in place. There are people ready for this arrival, this scheduled arrival on this train now. The foreman is easy to make out, and actually the conductor kind of leans and says, him right there. It is a dwarven figure with this kind of well-kept beard of sort of this dark brown, wearing, again, very similar overalls that you've seen on the chief engineer and the conductor themselves. And he seems to be, he kind of grants a wave to the conductor, and she kind of returns it as you guys pull in. And almost immediately, folks begin to jump to the work of unloading this train, wanting to get it done before the night sets in. Yes, Button.
I keep an eye on whoever unloads the crate that had guns.
Uh-huh.
That's thrown off the ship.
The crate was? I thought just
Yeah,
the guns
I threw
were.
the whole
I'm
thing out.
dumb.
Oh yeah, Gendry went and
I'm sorry, I misunderstood. I
But
looked to
they
see
could
whoever
rush in
goes
the
to
area.
unload it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Perfect. Make a perception check for me. As you guys are you all lingering around the rear cars to keep an eye on things,
Yep.
or where are folks going?
No.
Okay, perfect.
I will.
Where? Everyone, tell me where you're going.
Sorry.
Alec.
I'll just have those two boys. And just
Sir,
okay.
we'll have the two boys.
How would
hello?
you like this
I
boys done, Mr. Alec?
Garcon, I'll take my two boys to go.
Medium
Take two, they're
well,
small.
please.
Take 2 in the morning and call.
I'll take the 2 men that tried to kill us about 4 hours ago, and then I will just kind of watch over them. If this goes smoothly, like Gendry said, you can leave. Live lives for yourselves, okay?
Kind of just stand there quietly, hands bound behind their back, absolutely not fucking about, behaving themselves under your watch. Where are you taking them? Are you keeping them on the train?
On the train until it's emptied.
The car. And the workers ignore that front car. There isn't anything of interest.
You will hand both of them 2 Thaltian marks to get you started.
Oh. There's kind of like a nod from both of them at that.
I should only give you 1. Because you pissed me off. But I'm being nice today.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Do better. Be better. just gonna wait till the train's emptied.
Keep an eye on.
Yeah.
Okay. Everyone else.
Take that for a roll.
Big spender.
Bye.
I rolled
Honey-
a questioning 20 for seeing who would try to unload that area.
Perfect. And just while Honey is posting up to watch this, what are the other two doing?
I was gonna go
Where you
up
headed?
towards the conductor, throw my jacket on this time, and like have the hat, because we're not moving on a fast-moving train where I can just lose that at any second. So he's actually wearing the jacket and hat, and is kind of doing the face thing of being like, yeah, we like, in case she has to talk to anybody, like it's like, oh, I'm part of that group that helped protect the train. Like,
You did
but
a very
very
good
awkward, but very fucking
As you
awkward.
kind of go with her, she hops down and meets with the foreman as you're kind of lurking behind. She says, "We made it through. They were able to protect us, doing a very good job. You're quick to. We'll get it unloaded. Let the engine cool. Should be able to turn around and get back to Chateau within the next what?" And she kind of leans in and checks one of the gauges. Probably need about 24 hours. We could leave tomorrow night. And the foreman is kind of like, that makes sense. Yes, it is good to see you. You made it through then. This group protected you. And there's kind of this quick engagement back and forth as they begin to go through things. And she does take the log and hand it to him, as that is the handoff. Or are
It's
you guys not
hidden
allowing that?
Actually, behind Tristan's back.
No, I gave it back to her.
Okay.
Because
I gave it
so
back. I have my own
you guys,
copy
I
of
will.
it.
So here's the context. You guys can absolutely keep the log if you want to. If you're not wanting to be suspicious, the process would be to hand the log over to the foreman.
Okay.
I essentially have
That
a
is your guys'
copy- I essentially have a copy of like the
You've written everything down
stuff.
and got
So
your
like
proof.
she has the log. I don't need it. I have a copy of it.
She kind of hands it over. She's kind of cued in based on the conversation with Honey, and passes it off to him. He says, "Wonderful," and begins to flip through and walk through the crates that are all being unloaded. Gendry, what are you up to, my friend?
Being almost drunk.
You get schlots?
Yeah.
Perfect. Wonderful. Make a Constitution saving throw for me. Honey,
Sure.
as you post up at the end, basically just eyeballing every one of these folks coming through. With that perception check, nobody seems to be. There are folks that go over to that area to unload things that are already there. Nobody seems to be acting suspicious as if something is lost or missing to them. And with the record handed off, you see the foreman begin to move down and nod and check off things. And he is giving the presentation that everything is squared and well good, that everything has arrived per their expectation.
That's what I thought.
Well, that narrows it down.
Gendry, what you get?
10.
It actually hits you a little bit harder than you would expect, and you begin to get a little bit hazy. And as the unloading continues and proceeds under Honey's watch, as your two elven compatriots are held under Siegfried's watch, and as Trystan kind of has the back of your conductor companion and just is the face, you hear a disturbance coming from the gate that leads up to the palisades away from the train tracks. There are roadways leading out a little bit further. And this is not a large structure. And Gendry, as you sit kind of against some crates, taking some drink, a familiar cart is hauled through the gates.
Motherfucker.
It is horseless. It is being hauled by figures, and there are more running towards them. And as it is hauled into the compound, there is blood across the seat and the back door. This is a massive, caravan structure. It is the tarp that had been referenced in your pursuit all these times is gone. And it is a barge structure along the side with slots that allow for breathing, but not visibility. But
Take
more
off.
importantly, you run off towards it.
Yeah.
As you run towards it, the back gate, that is this large swinging door, large enough to bring like a creature in or out, has been shorn off by something massive.
Oh shit. I take off.
Okay, you head towards the cart, is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay, as you run towards it, you close the distance quite quickly, and there are people bustling around. You can see a few of them, these figures. It was crazy. We were down collecting water near the waterfront where the river watches. There is that fresh patch, and you can hear them speaking to a couple of other figures. We found this. There was this, and just bodies strewn everywhere. We do not know what did it, but we thought we would bring the cart in, and they didn't even come through the camp. They must have skirted around. There were 3 or 4 dead, and then...
Can I see the area they're talking about?
As you kind of look out the gate, there is this slow road running down towards the waterfront. You're not able to make out, it's too far a distance. You're still like probably about a mile from the actual water here.
Fuck.
But down the hill, you are sure where they have come from as you look.
Okay, I keep going.
All right, party. You, everyone, make perception checks for me.
I was about to say, is he invisible?
Gendry, are you trying
I'm not
to be
trying to
stealthy?
know. I'm fucking half drunk.
Or boom. Okay.
I just saw those
just kind of
immediate-
gets up and fucking takes off. Let's see who notices.
Probably be able to
13.
hear the bottles.
13.
Click, 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 click.
I got
Okay.
it. Is perception?
Yeah.
18, 17 plus 1.
18.
10.
10. Okay. Honey and Siegfried, you both see Gendry, just all of a sudden, who had just been kind of slouching against some crates, get up, glance at this thing that's being drug in, run towards it, look at it, and then just fucking take
We
off.
gotta go. We gotta go.
Oh, we gotta go, Trystan!
Tristan, we gotta leave. Let's go.
Apparently, I must depart.
He will look. Sig will just look at the 2 guys before he leaves. This is your chance to live. Go. Do it now. And he walks out. And he runs after Honey and Tristan.
Okay.
Definitely
These
taking
2
the back
elven
line.
figures, hands still bound behind their back, kind of slip
fuck!
out of the train into the dark
They'll
and
figure it
disappear. And we'll see if we ever hear from them again.
Sorry, you guys didn't have to come with me.
We're going with you!
Why the fuck wouldn't we? Our
That's your
half-drunk
call.
dwarven friend just went, fuck!
I've gotta go.
Gendry, you have a head start
Fuck
as
yeah.
you take
But he has
off.
the slower movement speed.
He has a slower
Yeah,
movement speed.
but I'm fucking ripped.
He's,
I
Yes.
now just imagine Gendry running in the Captain Jack Sparrow, like drunk around.
You tear down the hill. Eventually, it's a mile run. Eventually, the others do kind of catch up to you in that gate, but you are nearing your destination already by the time they do. As you hear the sound of running footsteps behind you, I don't even know if you turn to them, but you
I
hear them.
wouldn't fucking give a shit. I assume it's town people that were curious what I was doing.
Where are you going? We're coming with you. Where are you going?
Why?
What the?
Like,
Because
start scaring.
Okay, as Honey gets that exchange off, and Gendry is just kind of like, why?
I want you to be dead.
Break over this small little embankment. Off to the right, there is an immense river that is clogged with scrap and metal. Residue floats along the surface, this oily black color in places, and other places an off yellow. It breaks into this bay, and the river itself is immense. You can barely see the other side from being on the low ground here. But more importantly, the road cuts down, and you can see a small spring that is bubbling out, where you are fairly certain the camp has been retrieving water. But strewn there are still 4 bodies laying, bloodied, scattered
will.
around this kind of camp space. Sorry.
I will head to those and begin inspecting them for any signs of the fuck happened here.
Gendry, I'd like you to make a survival check, as you're kind of using your knowledge of tracking and such. The rest of you, as Gendry begins to break immediately into the camp, and I'm giving you advantage on this. as well.
Okay then.
Could I
Know
just
that.
pop a divine sense? As
Absolutely.
We see just
17.
kind of the bodies kind of strewn across.
Okay, so
Cool.
plan sense. Anyone else doing anything?
Do we see anything besides bodies?
You can make a perception check.
I'm looking for what did this.
I
Perfect.
also was gonna do the same thing.
A perception check from you guys. Siegfried, with the divine sense.
Yeah.
What does this look like?
I guess they would see as the gold leaks out of Sig's eyes and sort of away from his face just a bit as it begins to swirl around his head. You see these deep blue eyes and just deep scars as this momentary sense happens. And as it's done, it almost like bleeds back into his form.
Okay. As it radiates around you, you see your vision blur for a second as the gold fades out. And then you know what to anticipate.
Mm-hmm.
Traces marcated in slightly floating, flitting golden light. You look at your companions, you look at the space around you, you step forward. You do not see any traces of any specific evil or anything like that. Anything that might ring true to you as having a lineage connected to something that would pop off from this.
Okay, he'll just... Okay.
Gendry, what did you get on the survival?
The second one, shit. Hang on. I think it was a 17. Yeah.
17, and there are 2 perception checks.
Also 17.
17.
3. 100% Trystan went to look and saw the gold happen, and his eyes went magic. And just focused on that, went, oh,
magic.
Fuck, and like looked back really quick. And was like,
okay.
Wow.
Beautiful. As you are distracted,
Sorry, buddy.
So what happens here is, casting your gaze around, Honey getting a perception, you see what looks to have been a camp. There are the divots that you are fairly certain are where the wheels of this large caravan that was hauled in up the hill were sitting. And there are a few torn remnants of what you're fairly certain are tents. And then 4 bodies scattered around and a few small campfires. Gendry, as you close in, there is again the divots, and you can see the clear cut of where this cart came in. You can see the signs of a camp where seemingly 2 parties were camped out. You see these bodies as you approach them. There are weapons and armaments sitting around them, crossbows and swords. The figures, the bodies that have been laying about, are individuals in fairly well-adorned travel attire. And as you approach one of the bodies, you lift up the collar on one, and there is that pin that you exchanged back in Paye. The draconic figures made of interposing on each collar of the dead figures. As you look at these figures, you're not sure without a check how long they've been dead, but there are signs of... medicine check?
Oh, medicine check. Okay.
Do you want to make a medicine check for me?
Yes.
And Honey, I will say you can give advantage if you want to as you join up alongside Gendry as he's kind of gotten the jump into this space.
Yeah, they'll absolutely do that. I think almost like wherever he isn't, they'll be looking at someone and be like, I don't know what they're looking at, but if it's like lacerations here, like whatever, they'll just lacerations here. They'll just point it out
based on the medicine checks. And actually, why don't you make independent medicine checks based on that?
Okay. I got a 19.
A 19, beautiful.
What's my medicine? Sorry, 1 second. 18.
18. Okay, 19 and 18. Gendry and Honey, both of you would see all of these fighters died in combat. There are weapons in hands or discarded to the side. They are dropped in positions that look like they were in the midst of action. On the corpse you were looking at, Gendry, there is a puncture wound directly through the torso that is about this big around and shares straight through the center of this figure. So, Honey, on the one that you are looking at, trigger warning for Core, I'm sorry, I should have said this sooner. A limb has been shorn off by some sort of rotating blade. The lacerations are cut in a way where something has ripped into this. And Gendry, with your survival check from earlier, as you glance at these figures and turn to look, you just catch a slightly blue glowing strand that is giving off a almost arcane hue to it. that is splattered against the side of a rock just off to the side of the camp. Not 3 inches long, but it is glowing slightly in the now set sun, the darkness around you. It gives off a slight glow.
I will follow that. Is
As
this like a
you-
trail? This
It's-
glowing stuff?
As you walk over to it, there is this. As you get closer and take a look at it, it's almost like a ichor, a strand of some sort of, almost like a silk,
Bioluminescent.
and slightly bioluminescent. Yes.
Yeah.
And as you glance up, 400 feet up the hill from you, heading kind of skirting along the AR camp and then along the river, you see another spot where that glowing ichor is. And beyond that, 600 feet out, there is another one, leading a small telltale trail of this ichor behind.
I just begin quietly following like the few points I see and then keep running. I'm not informing them on any of my actions.
I'm still following you. They're like,
That's totally fine. I'm being a little shithead.
Gendry begins to take off up the river. And behind you is left Siegfried and Trystan, unless you want to.
Trystan,
Honey follows, obviously, Gendry.
Trystan,
What do you guys do?
We got to go. We cannot leave them alone.
Yeah. Hey, y'all, what are we doing?
They're running.
shush.
Somebody.
Okay.
These were killed. Josh, does this look like anything Sig would have seen on any guides on the front?
The capacity for harm that has been showcased in the War of the Forge is limitless.
Sure.
This isn't giving you anything distinct beyond what Honey and Gendry would pull away, which is
100%.
how the wounds were done, but it wouldn't necessarily correlate to anything specific for you.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. It'll just...
They are quite exotic, the wounds,
Yeah.
I would say, and extreme.
We need to make sure that they're safe. If these individuals died, we just have to go.
Yeah, I got you. I didn't know if there was a plan or something. Right, and
I don't either.
he'd be going at that point.
Yeah. So Sig is just running, trying to catch up.
I'm following these little dots I see.
Okay.
And while he's following, can I be looking for the thing that, like, he's got his eyes kind of like on the trail?
I've got my
I
eyes
like, I
down,
really
yeah.
don't want to
on
get
that,
killed.
You can make a perception check.
I'm not looking for ambushes or anything. I'm looking just
Yeah.
follow this trail.
6,
I'm
fuck me. 22.
22. As you begin to proceed forward, you all do kind of catch up to Gendry as he's moving at a very rapid pace, but he's having to track, and you're all able to kind of keep up with him doing that. So, Honey, as you put your head on a swivel, you guys move forward into the night now in the Thousand Fronts, following this glowing trail. Gendry, with your skills in that survival trek, it's easy enough to continue to pursue, but you go 1 kilometer, 2 kilometers, a
I just
mile.
keep going.
It is leading you deeper and deeper into the Thousand Fronts, following almost along this river. As you move along it, you can see up beyond you the looming structures of the ancient fortresses and buttresses and fortifications along here. And Honey, it is you that catches with a 22 a sign that is off-kilter, sandblasted, and worn. It's in Verger Castilian, which I don't believe anybody else speak. No, anyone speak Verger Castilian
Nope.
or Castilian? Excuse me.
Wait,
No.
Vega Castilian? Is that a specific language? No, I
Castilian.
don't.
Castilian, yeah. Okay. Honey, you catch this. It says mine, and then something is scuffed, Eeld.
They
Ah.
grab the back. They grab the back of Gendry.
Just
This
the
is a
F stretch.
minefield. This is a. This is a minefield. We are not going further.
Then stay here, and I keep
We're not going in a minefield.
Stop me and find out what happens.
They try.
Okay. Grapple check, I suppose. Obviously, athletics from you,
it's
and whatever
fun.
you want for acrobatics or athletics, Sean.
I'm drunk.
Oh yeah, you are.
I
Should I roll
threw-
disadvantage?
Where are you?
And Trystan and I are just catching up at this point, correct?
Yeah, you are catching up as you see Honey go to grab Gendry's shoulder, and there's an exchange. You run up, but we'll let this rest.
Yeah, no, 100%.
18. 18.
Okay, so the defender gets the meets it, beats it. So
Mhm.
Gendry does just barely. Honey, as you grasp him, even in his stupor, he is a slippery son of a bitch.
I will say you fully have like my cloak, and I just let it go.
He twists right out. Okay, beautiful. I love that so good.
Haha.
God damn
And he
it.
takes off into this minefield. Now, sorry, party.
I'm scurrying off. You guys feel free to make your own decision.
Yes,
stopping?
absolutely. And I will tell you what you see here in a second, Sean, as you proceed.
No problem.
I think Tristan's like, why are we stopping? And keeps walking.
That is a minefield.
Oh shit. Okay. Yeah.
No, it's a mine yield.
There's a
Totally
100%
different thing.
they, like,
It could be a
steps
mine
forward,
yield. We don't know.
like drops back.
Mine, comma, yield.
They could just go Golderon here.
Says the same thing.
Sig will just run up, put his hand on the small of Honey's back. Are you okay?
He is going to die.
We have to get him then. We have to go in. We have to be careful.
Okay.
Right. Hey, do mines show up at all on the ground? I've never dealt with a minefield.
Well, they're mines. They're in the fucking ground, Trystan.
I've never
What?
dealt with a fucking minefield before.
I've seen some stuff, guys.
I don't know if they show up on the ground. Like, I don't know
Tristan?
if there's like a telltale.
Follow my
trying to
lead.
help.
Follow my
Only
lead.
one of us that reads.
Gotcha.
And
Well, I didn't know if like
Sig-
he doesn't know if there's a...
yeah, 100%. You're good. Knowing what he knows from his time being a guide to people, he will try and lead the rest following Gendry, if possible.
Beautiful. I will give Sig, you're going to get a survival check with advantage as you attempt to lead folks through here. Gendry, as you
laugh.
break into this, how are you proceeding with the information Honey gave you? Are you just or charging ahead, or
I'm
is
not.
there?
I'm not stupid.
Yeah, I wanted to check.
Yeah. No, I know that whatever trail was left here, someone made it through without an explosion, or I'll find an explosion at the end of this trail.
Survival check with advantage from you as well.
So I'm just following whatever left this trail. Sorry. Go for it, Alec.
19.
19. Okay,
25.
25. Gendry. It is a shale field with patches of dirt that runs down towards the river, which is just off to your left now. You see what appears to be the barrel of some great gun striking out of the water, upwards rusting away. But directly in front of you, there are boulders positioned around. And as you begin to proceed forward, you can
Oh,
see...
these half-orcs doing here.
Hey guys, I just tripped and fell. I don't know what the fuck is going on.
Where am I? You see these boulders that are marked with that ichor. This creature has been pathing its way through here. Whatever this thing is, it is intelligent enough to make its way through. And as you begin to watch, there are little patches of this dirt where you can see the impressions in the sand. These massive, almost perfectly square impressions in the earth that on soft ground drive about 2 inches deep. In the spread of these legs, it's not bipedal, it's moving on 8, 10, maybe 12 legs. Almost skittering.
Okay. I continue.
Okay. With that survival check, you are able to navigate. Siegfried, also, you are able to do the exact same, and actually with a 19 would be able to pick up on the imprints as well, as you kind of ghost along behind Gendry, taking a more cautious pace, I will say, based on just perspectives of everybody.
And
As
just-
Gendry kind of, you can see him. He's
Yeah,
not getting
yeah,
miles ahead
yeah.
of you, but he's
He's
ahead.
exhausted. I mean, like, he's rolling super well for all of that. I feel
yeah.
like he might be getting ahead of us.
There is a motivation there.
Given
that is
Given what was
drive.
experienced when he retrieved Honey and guided them, does this ring familiar to
yes.
over the night? To look at Honey, the night the thing came over us, I think this is one of those things.
Yeah, that makes sense.
we have to be really careful, and we have to make sure it doesn't fucking kill him.
Context, please. I'm sorry.
Large-
It is a warforged.
Mechanical thing.
Right.
Dangerous.
Shit.
They are very big.
Yeah.
Many, many, many legs.
I think, Trystan, it's everybody... sorry, I know that you're doing a thing, but can everybody see fine? I know it's dark, so I want to make sure.
I can, yeah.
Are you good?
Nope.
Guys, and you see him snap 4 times really quickly, and the 4 lights appear in a row following the path that Gendry's on.
Okay.
Sig will put his glaive in his hands. Just
show
to be
everybody
ready.
the path.
As you do so, the lights pop into the air around you, and this kind of grouping of lights lights up the space, this only source of light in this river valley as you move upwards. Gendry ahead of you, crossing this minefield. Gendry, you are the first to break from the space.
Yeah.
That is, you see another one of these signs again. This one is knocked over completely, but it just says in Vegor Castilian the same thing, which you don't read, or Castilian, excuse me, you don't read, but it does say what appears to be the same, save there are a few letters there before that were not there on the other sign. But as kind of you continue forward up this valley, you are starting to see piles of scrap, debris, detritus that is collected in this valley, almost mounded up like sandbanks, like dunes, but it is pieces of equipment mixed with piles of rust and dust and rock, shattered stone, all aggregated into these strange rolling plains. And as you come up over this final hill in the dark vision, you look over across what is this. It has to be intentionally piled mounds of scrap and debris. Back behind you, the rest of your party approaches, but you can see that the flex of Ichor leads into what can best be described as a almost maze of a junkyard. Behind you, there is that bobbing light that is your party, probably about 100 feet behind.
I will continue forward.
Okay. And as you step forward into that maze, the party, you see Gendry pause for a moment and continue forward. As you break the minefield, honey, you see that sign that just says minefield in Castilian. That, my friends, is where we are going to end today's session.
Whew.
Jeebus Christ.
Oh my goodness gracious.
Oh boy.
Thank you, everybody, and my wonderful players, as always, for being a part of this. Love you guys. Audience, before we go, we've got a few quick announcements for you. Those announcements being, thank you to our wonderful partner, Soundtail, who bring all that ambiance to our game. All that fantastic, immaculate sound comes from Soundtail. They've been with us for a very long time. We very much appreciate them. You can get a copy of that app for yourselves to use if you'd like to. Just click on the link in the chat and check it out. Of course, we've been missed not to mention our affiliates. Found Familiar Coffee. If you use code WELCOME, and when you're checking out, you can get 10% off your order. And then you too can taste Initiative. There is Crafty Gamer. If you like cool candles or little accoutrements like coasters that say Bard or Dungeon Master, you guys can check out Crafty Gamer. They make all those sorts of things. And then, of course, last but not least, Arcane Anthems makes a bunch of music for our channels. You can check them out on their Patreon. There's a bunch of free stuff there. Sean, over to you.
Well, I would like to thank all of our fantastic moderators for our channel who've been hanging out with us, keeping our chat a nice, friendly place to be, and keeping up with all our announcements, as you see here in chat. Specifically, we always have Commune and Button on the show, but we also have Just Singing Geek, who's been crushing it, both clipping and keeping everything nice and orderly. We very much appreciate this. Thank you very much.
Much love. And with that, my friends, we're out of here. Be here tomorrow for Cosplay Ground featuring the fantastic GM Krail. Bye!
Bye, everybody!
I'm done.
Guys, we would like to give a huge thank you to our collaborators. The logo done by the amazing Art Pleb, the world map by Rolaris Maps, our opening music by Nerdy Rocks, character art by Luzalia Art, and overlay by by Shannon Reed. Stick around, we're going to throw you guys into a raid, and we'll see you tomorrow for Cosplay Ground.